All right, I should be live, but let's just double check that. All right, here we go. We're good to go. Good evening, everybody, and thank you for stopping by. I know it's kind of testing the boundaries of my usual start times, but today was a day. um, there's Stellaris. Yeah, the funny thing is, there's so much for me to get through. I'm behind on one pre-recorded video for the week, and I'm gonna try and do that tonight. But I'm also conscious of my sleep. But Stellaris is always a joy, and of course, it's worth mentioning. I was given this key for promotional purposes. This has been true for a lot of Stellaris from the start of the game, and essentially all the DLC that I'm running, except for the Humanoids and Plantoids DLC, have been given by Paradox for promotional purposes. And then I don't have Necroids installed. Didn't really seem to be. I didn't feel the need to include that here, and I don't own it. So, what was I going to say? It's been a while since I've looked at this. I don't remember if there was... I can't remember if they specifically tease it out for the individual DLC, or if it's... because there's a lot here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to leave this. I think I'll have to leave this for my own exploration. But yeah, I'm obviously very grateful. I had a really nice exchange with the person I got in touch with on Stellaris, because obviously that's the status with Paradox seems to have changed, which was a bit of a shame. But I'm really happy that Stellaris has sort of let me continue on with this, because I definitely feel like this is a really good introductory game. For people, I think it's a game that, as a whole, people like me playing. The one exception, I think, to the historical games where people might want to sort of specifically see me do it as opposed to just see content would be the forthcoming Victoria 3, because obviously it is dealing not just with sort of the economic themes of the Industrial Revolution, but specifically the social change brought on by that. And that is very much in the realm of political economy. That is the thing that I went to school for. Maybe not specifically the Industrial Revolution, but it's the one where I have probably some scholarly work that I could unpack and talk about in layman's terms. So we'll see. I mean, it's one I'll maybe try and put my name in for when the time comes. But these things are never sure. And, more importantly, we're here about Stellaris, which is a wonderful game and I should be talking about anyway. So we're going to be continuing on with the story of the Black Codex. It is D-Pain and Apocalypse very kindly invited me back to their podcast, the Pointless Discord podcast, which I abbreviate to the Pointless Podcast because I am a terrible guest and will never be invited back. But it was really nice because I got a chance to talk about Philip K. Dick. If I had my choice, I would sort of talk about a handful of Philip K. Dick books that I like. But one of the books that I had recommended inside of it was The Man in the High Castle, which I realize is I sort of realize there is a... how do I put it? Like, there's the Amazon series about it, which I haven't really seen. But... I think the book's wonderful. I didn't get a chance to talk as much as I wanted to about why I am fond of the book, because Apocalypse is someone who wants to read it still, and obviously I didn't want to... Most of what I had to say related to the ending and sort of what I think the book is about, so I didn't really get to articulate as much as I wanted to about it. But another one I probably would have talked about if I'd known that... The discussion would have been abbreviated would be A Scanner Darkly, which I'm also very fond of. And, of course, I'm bringing this up because this current patch is named after Philip K. Dick, and it is a little bit of an inspiration in terms of the species we made, which, of course, some of you in chat picked up on, which I was delighted by. Now, science fiction is fun. I actually highly recommend that you read more. And that episode was neat because I got to hear a little bit more about some science fiction that hadn't crossed my radar. Some things that had, inspired some movies, some things that had, it's the reason you talk about books that are interesting. You get to find out other things. But let's focus on the game. We're in a fairly decent diplomatic position. One of the things that I thought was kind of interesting in chat was there was some discussion about why I wasn't taking it upon myself to invade something like the Talakor Citizen Compact, which is quite a bit weaker than me. And hey, the exception, great to see you. Of course, one thing too, that decision may turn out to be something where I'm losing an opportunity, because you can see so much of the Talakor Citizen Compact is now being eaten up by the Endurga Horde, which I'm obviously going to want to take a look at. But the decision not to invade or vassalize this group was this. One, there is, of course, the Marauders. So it looks like right now they're focusing on this side of the galaxy. But if I start seeing some of those ships coming over this way, you better believe I'm going to want to react to that. In addition, I'm in a fairly comfortable position diplomatically right now. I'm on the Galactic Council. I'm sort of in position 2. The Advanced Start AI is the largest political entity. And, obviously it would be nice, it would be nice if I just kind of became a hyperpower and bulldozed everything out of the way. Oh, that's interesting. I'm not the second most powerful anymore. For whatever reason, it looks like the Zaxoid has taken front row. Okay. I'm gonna have to do something about that. One way or the other. One of the really important things for me right now is that if I take a look at my closest neighbors, the people who I'll potentially have a war with, we have a non-aggression pact with the Zaxoid Stellar Confederation. I don't believe we have one with the Vitresis Hive, but they don't particularly dislike me either. They also count as having an overwhelming navy, so I don't exactly want to be fighting them right now. Of course, I haven't filled out my navy myself, but I'm a little conscious of my budget, so that's another thing I'm going to deal with a little bit later. But if you think of it this way, so if I take out the Talakor Citizen Compact, or I try to, that means that I have to fight the Zaxoid Stellar Confederation as well. And if I just completely hand-wave away the difficulty of actually vassalizing this thing, because I'm going to be traveling there through wormholes, the next question is, okay, so what does my expansion look like in a world in which I have vassalized the Talakor Citizen Compact? Maybe the Giroid Empire would be another potential extension, where at least sort of on an equivalent basis, so I would potentially be able to move in on them. But right now, these are all spiritualist empires. They are ones that I can't necessarily topple easily. And I have the opportunity when I'm at peace to expand and just have this huge resource base that I can draw from. And really the only other empire that sort of has that, for sure, is the Zaxoid Stellar Confederation and potentially the Vitresis Hive, who's already really strong. And so if I go to war early, that means that I no longer have non-aggression pacts and I have people with grudges. And the Zaxoids already have a CB on some of these territories, Casaspelli. So part of the plan is, and this is a very passive way of playing, but part of the plan is that right now I see a better opportunity to be able to expand out within my borders, to build this big resource base, which will eventually turn into a very strong sort of navy. And at that point, I will use that to start flexing my muscle a little bit. And at that point, one of the smarter moves that I could make potentially would be not to start eating some of these smaller species, but rather to go directly for the Vitresis hive to sort of blunt them, because it's possible that I could get the other spiritualist empires to gang up on the hive. Then, of course, there's the other way around, which is to say that maybe it would be a good idea to have strong allies, and what I want to do is cull the weak so that we can deal with any endgame crisis. Or maybe I just want to become the endgame crisis myself. There's lots of different paths that I have there. So I realize that it doesn't always make for the most exciting play when you're not going to war with people, but it is an opportunity for me to try and get a bit of an edge on my potential competition. And then all of this is sort of with the very clear understanding that if there is any hint that the Horde is headed my way, I am going to, I'm going to turn everything around and focus entirely on them. Which is why I will eventually, over time, try and get this, try to get my fleets closer to their naval cap. If I can get essentially two versions of the Vernala Starfleet, I'd be pretty happy. Actually, let me just take a quick minute and figure that out. So we've got, so I just want to bring up a calculator. Battleships are 16, right? Well, they couldn't be 16. They have to be 8. Okay, yeah, I think this pattern works for me. I've never really thought that much about fleet composition. I usually just tend to evenly spread the command points among the different categories, but I should sit down one day and actually work out what I think my ideal fleet designs are. I think probably the way to think about them would just be like what you're going up against. So for instance, if you have got a bunch of capital shit, like, so, you've kind of got these screeners and then these things to do the real damage. But of course, if you're only relying on, massive capital ships and you're going up against a swarm of these things, it's possible they'll overwhelm your, firepower, and all of a sudden your hull's already broken before you can deal with everything. So, and I mean, I'm sure I could just sit down and figure this out one day, but for now, let's focus on growth. Now, I have unspecific points. The reason why I haven't reformed the government yet is I need 250 influence. So this is why the expansion has stopped here. So we're going to be getting that influence before that happens. We could access the Shroud, but that is going to have an energy cost, and I am a little conscious of my treasury, so we're going to be building up for that. And finally, this archaeological site is not within my control, so we'll keep an eye on it, but I'm not going to invest too much. You try to do a mix with a little bit of focus on the bigger ships. Not sure if that's optimal, though. Yeah, and that I tend to do that myself, the exception. Like, I start with a lot of corvettes and destroyers, but as I lose them to attrition, I tend to notice that I rebalance a little bit more towards the capital ships. And I think that's generally the way to go if you haven't really teased out exactly what you want your different ship rules to be. But to give you an example about how, if I really wanted to sit down and mess around with the navies, what I might consider would be, like, how do I use the smaller ships to be able to deal with the things that are blocking the catastrophic damage that the large ships do? So for instance, if I've got enemy ships with lots of shields, maybe what I want to do is I want to have a bunch of sort of these screening ships, corvettes and destroyers, which are oriented towards taking down shields. And then, I just kind of take my best weapons and put those on the capital ships. And at that point, the distinction of the corvettes in the simplest case, I'll say corvettes and destroyers. The simplest form of that calculation would be just how many corvettes and destroyers do I need to be able to take out those shields? Because any surplus is potentially wasted damage. If you could give up, say, 8 of those corvettes and instead field another battleship, then obviously you are going to be and you still have already wiped out the shields. at that point you are giving up your real power. But of course, you refine that calculation by saying that corvettes and destroyers are not immortal. In fact, they are the most likely ship to be taken out. And so at that point, you say, okay, what is the expected damage of these different attacks? And then, of course, then you have to sort of do the calculation based on what you think you're coming up against. So I actually think there's probably quite a bit of richness in terms of the naval combat. The problem is that I've never really felt the benefit of actually sitting down and agonizing over all of the different ship designs. I tend to just let the AI take care of it and move on. But then it's also been true that I usually steamroll over my enemies. And so I think potentially here, especially now that I've got these intelligence mechanics, if I feel like I'm going up against a particular enemy, maybe this would be the time for me to consider the design of my fleets. And so with this in mind, I'm actually going to be paying particular attention to the types of ships that are coming into these enemy systems and potentially taking them. At least the ones that I have eyes on. Okay. So, again, it's a little stagnant right now because we're waiting for our influence for other things. But that doesn't mean that there aren't other things that we can take care of. So for instance, I'll keep the game on pause, but I do want to just take a quick look at what we're doing jobs-wise. I'm also going to do an audit in terms of worlds that are using science. So we're at 2 specialist jobs right now. I think let's build some more energy generators. So 13 on this forge world, we're fine there. Okay, so here's the thing that's a little sad. We've got sort of a science world on Quantos, which is our capital. That's what I get for... God, I hope technicians are... Yes, they are. Okay.
The spirits have granted us new wisdom.
Artificial moral codes. It is circumstance.
Special project complete.
Oh, this is always a neat one to watch. It is done. It is done! Somehow we've solved it. You helped. The organic nature of things eluded us. The answer lied behind us all this time. Of course, thank you, little ones. The universe is vast, yet so small, but we now see it in all its simple glory. It's lovely. Now that we've calculated infinity, there is but one thing we can do now. We can show you the truth. Farewell, young ones. Glad we could help. Artificial moral codes. It is circumstance that dictates what is moral. Define the circumstances, and the ethics is like clay in your hands. Let's just take a second here to pick a tech before watching the show. We could do a penal colony. I think in this case, Xeno relations is more appealing. The Infinity Machine disappears into Gargantua, the thing it studied for so long. As it passes the event horizon, the black hole begins to fluctuate. It takes in less light, and the swirls of matter being sucked into it slow down. In an instant, it lets out more light than any sun and starts radiating matter back into the universe. The black hole shrinks, unfitting of its name, we now dub it Pantagruel, causing time dilation to become even stronger around it. Within Pantagruel, one can gaze into a mirror universe, the other end of the black hole, one just beginning. The Infinity Machine has shown us the truth, that black holes are wombs and universes their offspring. Studying this mirror universe is bound to teach us more about the one we live in, learning from other beginnings. So, if we could access this area, that would be great. It would give us 10 of each different types of science. However, we do have the Mirror of Knowledge modifier, which is nice. But yeah, unless the Gearoids want to play nice, we're not going to get that.
System survey complete.
Okay, they still have something that they're working on. There was something I was going to say, but... Oh, yes. I think I was going to talk about how... when it comes to Tech World, so we've got Wentwork and we've got Quanto. So technically, the number of Tech Worlds we have is about equal to the number of bureaucratic centers. I want to fix that at some point, but obviously, circumstances have caused us to go down a different path. Let's watch my Sonic avatar. Actually, this thing's a little stronger than I thought it would be. Let's see this thing in action. Confidence wavers. A group of auxiliary operatives within the Vitresis Hive has begun shying away from their assigned tasks, citing a lack of confidence in their overall purpose. Spymaster Mickey Basiram would typically handle such matters without bringing them to our attention, but even without knowing any other details, these operatives seem unusually well informed about Operation Acquire Asset, and perhaps the spy network as a whole. Given that these auxiliaries are kept isolated from our more active and better informed agents, Maki Basiram suspects the operatives are being fed information from an outside source. She also concedes that they may simply be highly perceptive individuals. Given these doubts and the threats posed to Operation Acquire Asset by each scenario, Spymaster Mickey Basiram requested a directive of how to proceed. So we could say, risks are too great, cut them loose, or let's see where these insights may lead. So, very likely that this is going to be bad for us, but...
Heretic fleet engaged.
Panicked operatives. Our auxiliary operatives in the Vitresis Hive have reacted with horror upon learning the truth of their once intangible suspicions. Spymaster Mickey Basiram revealed only a glimpse of the bigger picture to them, but it was sufficient to disrupt our supply lines. Our ability to subvert Vitresian encryption is reduced for a time. So we're in trouble.
Darkness has claimed one of
No!
our
It said it was like 1K. Alright, well, easy come, easy go.
System survey complete.
It was a lack of shields. Okay, while we're waiting, let's start upgrading to citadels when we can. I think I'll do upgrade to citadels first, and then we'll build out our once we built up our citadels, we will build out the navy. A short list of targets has been drawn up. Those operatives who are no longer tasked with surveillance will provide cover for the others. So Beta Corvi is a big priority now, even though it's not necessarily on the way to Sawa. Given its energy credits, I should probably pick it up on the way.
Evading heretics.
Okay, so we know 18. We gotta, now that we've been given a glimpse at the heretic fleets, we know we've got 18k to deal with. So compared to our existing fleets are insufficient for what we're potentially facing. This, of course, kind of scuttles the idea of just trying to go in and do an assassination run on the Khan. But of course, the hope... See, there's two challenges with the Marauders, which is one, you can kind of hope the galactic community gets its act together and deals with them, at which point you just sort of mop up a weakened enemy. And then there's the other alternative, which is the galactic community fails to deal with it, and you now have this incredibly powerful entity to take you out. All right, so I always feel like I wind up back here. For a while I was building city districts, and now the question is what else do I want to put out? So I was originally thinking that food might be a priority, but in this case I think I'm going to start building some more generator districts. Oh, and we've got way too much influence, so let us reform our government. And I think I was leaning towards Byzantine bureaucracy. I feel like there were some other ones I was considering. So no to slaver guilds, possible to shadow council, but I felt like that I had better ideas. I feel like efficient bureaucracy is trying to deal with a problem that I'm already building planets for. See, I seem to remember Byzantine bureaucracy was simply the idea that nobody uses straightforward language. So there's that government reform. That should also be a nice little boost to my unity. And then now that we've got the influence, we'll build a starbase on Chalks.
Construction
and there's a
complete.
very, very strong temptation for me to start building battleships, but I'm going to try and resist that urge. I should probably make sure that my science ship... Oh yeah, this thing's just sitting still. I should probably make sure that this thing is actually able to go home.
The spirits have granted us new wisdom.
Okay, we've got the experimental subspace navigation now. I think this was kind of a punt, but this actually won't necessarily be bad for my science ships. Solitary science ships can break out of naturally occurring hyperlanes and attempt to navigate to known but otherwise unreachable destinations. Positronic AI. Now I think this starts getting me... I know it's red around the border that starts telling you that you're bringing in dangerous tech. These are all pretty desirable. Let's do the colony development speed first. And then we got our Xeno relations, so boost to our diplomatic weight. Hopefully that'll put us back into position 2, because that was a bit of a surprise to me. The complexities of interstellar diplomacy necessitate the forming of bonds with foreign powers in order to further one's goals. And I can probably upgrade my embassy complex if I so choose. And then I suppose the question now is, do I want to go for an expensive tech, or do I want to just start cleaning out some of the cheap stuff? I think we will do centralized command to get the cheap stuff.
Anomaly found.
The asteroid Vir 9000 is emitting some form of radiation in controlled bursts. Is something trying to communicate with us? It would be kind of nice to have this, this ship in the area just to get a read on what's happening with the... Oh,
complete.
So now we know where the other empire is, or fallen empire, stagnant ascendancy. Cells. Vir 9000 is partially hollow. Within its interior spaces sprawls a dense honeycomb structure crafted by some unknown alloy, housing containers of alien genetic material. By all appearances, this is an archive of life, the genetic record of some earlier civilization come and gone. Most of the DNA is hopelessly degraded, but there is still much to learn here. So, engineering and... Wait, where is that? Engineering and social... Well, that's within my... It's sort of within my abilities. I mostly just want to investigate this to see how seriously I should take the Horde threat. Because they're definitely munching on the Talakur here.
Construction complete.
It is really tempting to go back to the Shroud. Let's do it. Reach into the Shroud. We are looking down upon our galaxy from afar above, at a distance of what must be hundreds of thousands of light years. Without warning, the psionic current plunges us down towards the myriad of stars at an incredible speed, into the region of space belonging to one of the fallen empires, the Ik-Nur-Val Archivists. Stars swish by, then planets, until the vision finally settled on an Ik-Nur-Val city. Incredible spires rise towards the city, aided by anti-grav technology generations beyond our own. The current takes us into such a spire, through wall after wall, until we reach a large meeting room of sorts. It is occupied by two Ik-Nur-Val, floating comfortably in zero-gravity chairs while conversing with each other in soft voices. They are oblivious to our presence. Reach into their minds in search of secrets. The Ik-Nur-Val are clearly dignitaries of some kind, discussing matters of state. Slowly, surely, the vision encroaches upon them, while their alien speech is gradually transformed into words that have meaning to us. Suddenly the aliens go quiet and very still. Can you feel it? Yes, someone is watching. Their eyes search the room until both of them are staring directly at us. Remarkable, a psionic probe. It appears Emetherian in origin. Quickly, activate the transplanar shield. The vision ends abruptly. I don't seem too mad about it.
Construction complete.
But that did cost us 1,000 for no gain, so something to keep in mind in future.
Construction complete.
Emetherians, do not think that your loathsome attempt to invade the minds of our leaders has gone unnoticed. There will be consequences. But we can explain. Excellent. Continental world. We gotta get this thing colonized immediately. And... it's always... I can't tell what the difference between these two are.
Anomaly found.
The asteroid 8FV487 is emitting some form of radiation in controlled bursts. Is someone, something, trying to communicate with us? Alright, unfortunately I ignored Lemsa's workers. So let's start by building more city districts again. We're going to open up all of the building slots at least, and that'll take care of the basic workers. The question is what happens following that, because this world is getting close to its limits. All right, we are receiving transmission from the independent space station of the Mutagen's Merchant Guild. They appear to have successfully translated our language. Well met, friends. I represent the Mutigan Merchant Guild, and let me be the first to welcome you to the Falmer system. Our organization consists of hundreds of independent Mutigan merchant captains who brave the spaceways in search of the next good deal. At our facilities, you will be able to trade away some of your excess resources. Please contact us if you are interested in such an arrangement. Well met. I guess I just hung up on them rather than said well met, but... let's see what they have to offer. I don't think I'm going to take advantage of the deal, but...
The spirits have granted us new wisdom.
Strategic resources for rare crystals, if I want it. Rock Brain. A scan of of a massive asteroid, 8FV487, yields fascinating results. The rock's core is shot through with a network of conductive crystals carrying a weak electric charge. The crew on the ISS Dorita recognized this matrix as a primitive neural lattice and believe the celestial body to be thinking in some capacity, if not fully sapient. They seek permission to excavate the core and transport it to the nearest orbital station for closer study. Make it so. Oop. Rock Migraine. The core of 8VF487, once coaxed from beneath the crust of the asteroid, does not respond well to the vacuum of space. The ISS Darila's instruments read a sudden energy spike moments before the rocky lump gently but decisively fractures. Large chunks of the conductive mineral are salvaged, but whatever spectral charge animated them is now gone. Crystals are still valuable in their own right, so that's a whole bunch of physics research and 1,000 energy credits. So that balances out our that balances out the cost of going to the Shroud. Creating dedicated headquarters for all levels of military operations shapes an efficient fleet and lays a better foundation for future military training. Okay. Again, if I can do some cheap tech first, that's a slight priority, but not at the cost of giving up something really valuable. In this case here, advanced food processing is one of my lower costs, and it is something that I might actually build. So those are the ones that I usually like. Those are the ones that I usually like working towards. So one of the reasons I need to occasionally audit my worlds here is I do have this problem where I have a lot of specialist jobs that have been built, but I don't have enough. I don't have enough available for low-level work. And yes, I could spend the energy credits to transport people around the Empire, but obviously I'd prefer to use those energy credits for things like war. Speaking of things I can use my resources for. We'll reverse engineer something. So while the artifacts we are researching have not yielded an immediate breakthrough, they are accelerating research in all fields. And let's find a peaceful application. What shall we focus on? An ancient fad for happiness. Efficient manufacturing, battery, memories, right. We're getting a little short on consumer goods. Let's do management insight still. Maybe I should do more military, though. Oh, I'm paused, that's why it's taken a while. Collective waste management. Instead of forcing each mine or factory to bear the burden, of dealing with industrial waste themselves, we should designate areas where we can store leftovers of progress. So habitability goes down, but diplomatic weight from economy. Okay, so my economy is 804. So this, yes, I will support this measure.
Construction complete.
Beam weapons would have been a lot better in here. As the operation nears its conclusion, Spymaster Mickey Bastiram has moved to secure our new asset within the Vitresis hive. Our remaining operatives are poised to facilitate any cover she may need. Commence operation. Okay, so this is all taken care of. We can go back and heal. Spymaster Mickey Bastiram reports from the Vitresis hive. A successful execution so far. Our spy network secured access to a modified Vitresian drone, the benefits of which will be obvious whenever we might wish to infiltrate or otherwise manipulate the Vitresis hive entity. Well, let's see exactly what kind of a drone we got, though. So there's a very specific type of asset that I've been looking for. Ooh, this is tempting. So, steel technology is definitely something that I want to try and follow up on. The other thing I could try would be an additional acquire asset. Try an additional acquire asset just because it would be nice to have... it would be nice to have... backup or redundancy. We also could use a higher cap, so let's go for it.
The spirits have granted us new wisdom.
Alright, sufficiently advanced systems are capable of optimizing themselves if they are made acutely aware of the purpose for which they were made. So, faster colonies, that of course timed rather well with the acquisition of a new...
Construction complete.
Or, well, the terraformed world. So, energy weapons is always tempting, but in this case I'm going to do the ion disruptor. We'll take Beta Corvi here.
Construction complete.
And we should have enough... No, we don't. We're 24 short. Okay, I'm taking Beta Corvi for the energy. But following that, we'll have to wait. I think I'm going to wait until I'm at 10k on my energy credits. Oh, contact lost. Spymaster Mickey Bastiram reports having lost contact with their operative on active deployment in the Vitresis hive. They've missed a number of their most recent scheduled check-ins. In accordance with standard procedure, we must now decide whether or not to track down the operative. Yes. I'm playing the long game with the Vitresians, so...
System survey complete.
Just taking a second here to see if there's anything I want. So the Psycore is kind of tempting from the crime point of view. Oh! Our efforts proved successful. Contact with our operative has been restored. Spymaster Mickey Bastiram is already working to review the monitoring procedures she has in place in work for the Vitresis hive. Excellent. Let's do the Grand Embassy Complex, and I think I am going to do another lab. Sure would be nice if I paid attention. There we go. So slowly but surely we're getting our citadels. Again, it's funny that I'm putting so much effort into a lot of this more maintenance work than any of these others. You know what? I don't like that choice. Interesting. Okay, so here's something that I'm intrigued with. Oh wow, I wasn't expecting that. So the Zaxoid Stellar Confederation has vassalized the Talakor Citizen Compact. I mean, it makes sense because they're getting pummeled by the Endurga horde, but it does mean that probably conflict with the Zaxoids is coming sooner than I expect. It might be an idea. So yeah, there's two approaches that I can take to this. Either I try and carve out a part of the Vitresis hive for myself so that I can...
Construction complete.
You know, I can kind of hit them on both sides, or I fight them for the Talakor Citizen Compact. Probably fighting them for the Talakor directly is the better path. But it's pretty clear to see that like there's a reason why they are growing in the overall galactic strength. Like they are becoming more powerful overall. Our deep cover operatives have stepped up their surveillance on potential targets. So I do need to deal with my sources of stagnation, which basically is getting my administrative cap back where it needs to be. I do need to get my navy back up to scratch, although I think that will follow the production. And yeah, there is the Zaxoid question, like when do I want to take them out? Galantha herd secured. Galanthas are large, flat herbivores that have evolved internal gas pockets, enabling them to hover a few centimeters above the ground. They move about in herds consisting of a few dozen animals, grazing on the moss and lichen that can be found on the windswept plains of Nishpan II. They are ruthlessly hunted by the planet's apex predators, and our biologists on the ISS Yolorum estimate that only a few hundred Galantha herds remain. One of these, consisting of 9 animals, has been successfully collected and will be brought back to Quantos. Specimens secured. All of the specimens asked for by the Museum of Exobiology have been secured. The museum has grown to a massive facility where artificial gravity generators and atmospheric processors are used to simulate the environments for over a dozen worlds. Visitors are journeying from all over the Black Codex to see its wonders. So that's 10,000 society research, 500 energy credits, a little bit of influence, and 8,000 unity for our troubles. And what do you know? Another upgrade. Oh, we've already got domination. Okay. So this is a really tough one for me to decide because I was originally going to go for diplomacy, not even because of the diplomatic edicts, but specifically because of secure shipping. But it seems to me here that supremacy will probably be where I want to go, just because I am going to be investing so much in my fleet. So let's acknowledge the circumstance, and we will take up supremacy. In this case, starbase capacity increased by 2 and army damage increased by 20%. I don't even know what world I want to put this one on. Where's one of my industrial worlds? Uranus it is. So this was intriguing because the Vitresis hive, or actually maybe it's not. It used to be that I think if it was me and the Vitresis hive, we could sort of outvote everybody else, but that may still be true.
System survey complete.
New cryopreservation and protein resequencing methods will make food processing much more efficient. So that might prevent me from making another agri-world, which would be good because obviously I'd prefer to have worlds dedicated to science and energy generation and such. And for, I think these top 3 would be best. So efficiencies of scale will give me better production, but will make jobs cost more. Or I could go for 5% without... let's do the synthetic thought patterns for starters. Let's not mess too much with my costs. Operative defects. Good God. All right. Our spy master in the Vitresis Hive, Mickey Bastirum, reports a drastic failure in her process for screening operatives. Word from the Vitresian capital is that a warehouse proprietor has chosen to defect. Despite the fact that we are supposed to be able to screen out such disloyalty, the warehouse proprietor has been turned, either by an act of counter-espionage or some innate sympathy towards the Vitresis Hive that we were unable to detect before. So be it, and we lose influence. If the Vitresis Hive have a spy network on us, they will be warned of a plot against them. They may identify us if their code breaking is superior to our encryption, which it isn't. Get your house in order! 50% chance that the Vitresis Hive have a spy network on us. They'll be warned of a plot against them. And infiltration speed is lower, and then disavow. So be it. I don't want to eat the influence, but it is the less bad of the two options. And in the meantime, we're going to expand out. Again, the aim here is to move to Sawa and eventually
survey complete.
Or Taiga. I'm not quite sure how I pronounced that before.
The spirits have granted us new wisdom.
These upgraded disruptors file bolts more destructive. Sorry. I am really messing up the reading today. These upgraded disruptors fire bolts of more destructive ion particles at targets. So there's a lot of stuff for me to get out of the way. So let's just do the cheapest stuff and move it out. My admiral has finally died. Well, I do like aggressive. The sublight speed is nice, but they're also the oldest candidate. So I think in this case we'll go for the young aggressive officer. So the next question on these would be, do I want to claim anything else inside here? Stebnar is attractive because it costs 5. I will, so that'll pay back the that'll sort of pay back the platform,
the
and
spirits
then
have granted us
it'll
new
also pay for the research. I think actually I might just take both of these, because this is something that my science ship can work on. This is something I can get energy from. And we finally got our living metals. So mining and processing the rare living metals is exceedingly difficult, but successful application of the mutable alloys yields incomparable advantages. So now I gotta find a source. And I think I'm going to do the same thing that I did before. Let's start cleaning out some of our lower cost industry options. Okay, so I really hope I have... Yes, I do have a source of living metal within my borders. So I should get on that as soon as possible. A short list of targets has been drawn up. Those operatives who are no longer tasked with surveillance will provide cover for the others. Okay, so we'll build the mines on Beta Corvi. I think I have enough of a priority for getting this living metal that I'll actually make the detour to get it. Let's just make sure that we don't have anything else within our borders that... Well, grabbing the Zro would also be kind of nice. Okay, I'm going to change up my plans a little bit. I'm going to have one dedicated to getting special resources, and then the other one will continue the usual expansion. Oop.
System survey complete.
Getting close to our next citadel. Oh, looks like the Vitresis Hive decided to come in and mess with us in the last possible second. That's a real shame. That really would have helped me.
System survey complete.
It's a very roundabout construction job, but the nice thing is that it will give me a little more influence to be able to pursue Sarah and eventually Taiga.
The spirits have granted us new wisdom.
All right, chemical plants, or volatile mineral plants. Aside from the obvious safety concerns, the artificial creation of volatile motes is an extremely delicate and complicated process that requires highly specialized equipment. Okay, so I think I am going to do the X-ray laser. Normally I kind of run straight for something like positronic AI for the research bonuses, but in this case I am a little conscious of the fact that we may be going to war either with the Marauders or the Zaxoids sooner than I thought, and so I'd like to have my strength up. As the operation nears its conclusion, Spymaster Maki Basiram has moved to secure our new asset within the Vitresis Hive. Our remaining operatives are poised to facilitate any cover she may need. Asset acquired. Spymaster Maki Basiram reports from the Vitresis Hive. A successful execution so far. Our spy network has secured access to a modified Vitresian drone, benefits of which may be obvious whenever we may wish to infiltrate or otherwise manipulate the Vitresis Hive entity. So let's just see where we're at spy-wise with them. The lives of all outside the Vitresis Hive are secondary, but those of the Vile Black Codex are tertiary. What did I do? Okay. So it looks like I'm going to need to get a few more assets if I want to have full infiltration, but I don't think it would be a terrible idea for me to just kind of start building up. I don't think it would be a terrible idea for me to just kind of start building up the network again. I am reasonably happy here. So we've got, we've got a couple of operatives that we can throw at a steel technology mission. But here,
complete.
Also just in the interest of kind of making more energy credits, I don't think it would hurt to give the spy network a little bit of a rest. I am intrigued by the fact that the Talakur agreed to be vassalized, and yet it doesn't seem like the Zaxoids are bothering to really help their
We are spreading our faith to a new world.
Their vassal. Also, I want to know what happened to their military. Pirate sighted. With its vulnerable and unprotected trade route, the Vitreous system has attracted a large number of ne'er-do-wells. Following recent power struggle, these criminal degenerates are now sufficiently organized to operate a significant pirate armada. They are using this ragtag fleet to intercept as much trade in the system as they can. Okay. And it is out of the way, and I don't have a psionic manifestation of my awesomeness to show them what's what. So I think we can probably kiss the resources in that area goodbye. Oh, this thing's doing nothing. All right.
The apostates are after our spaceport.
I'll be interested to see how well this thing survives, but yeah, I'm not expecting a lot. Obviously, I have a patrol fleet with about 1,000 strength to throw in, but given the fact that, the last time we had a fair fight in
the spirits have granted us new wisdom.
in a shield, an area that nullifies the shields, didn't work so well for me. So just being a little more measured this time. Thinking outside the box merely places you in another, somewhat larger box. Okay. let's do... So again, I want to be conscious of the fact that I may be going to war earlier than I want, but let's... Again, I'm going to focus a little bit more on getting techs as quickly as I can until I see an absolute must-have.
Anomaly found.
Life signs have been detected coming from inside the atmosphere of this gas giant. Could it indicate the presence of some kind of biosphere? I can just queue up a replacement as they go on their way to get the living metal. Obviously, I need to get rid of the... bad guys first. Atmospheric ecosystem. While we have discovered a thriving ecosystem in the upper atmosphere of the gas giant Elotravis II, massive floating creatures, having evolved bodies filled with lighter-than-air gases, follow the wind currents and feed off the energy released by the gas giant's frequent lightning storms. These beings, in turn, support colonies of smaller animals that prey on atmospheric plankton and each other. And we can get a new citadel. Again, would it be better for me to be building up a better fleet? Possibly, but the citadels...
Mining station martyred.
The citadels have the one virtue of...
Construction complete.
You know, in the worst possible situation,
The spirits have granted us new
I will
wisdom.
at least have something to sort of block the bad guys. These powerful short-range lasers can easily slice through rock, making the extraction of
complete.
minerals a more efficient affair. As always, looking for the cheap ones. I think destroyer hull points are what I need right now for something a little more combat-focused. Okay, and we'll keep you... I was originally going to expand out to these, but let's focus on getting more territory first. Alright, so there's a bunch of energy that I just lost. Not even because there's pirates here, but because I just lost the energy mines. Oh, now that's unexpected. Okay, so before I do anything else, let's just fill out our wish list a little bit of expansion. Well, this might be a harder one actually. It's got 3 basic worker jobs. I'll hold off on that. You know what? I wanted to spend a whole bunch of minerals, but... I've already put so much into the stockpile. And then I'll sell enough to go to the Shroud. Horror has a face. We cannot be certain this is really happening. Are we truly in the Shroud, or is one of us experiencing an acute psychotic breakdown? So, high probability of research, medium probability of decreased ship upkeep, or a low probability of summoning a psionic avatar. As nice as it would be to get a replacement, I don't like low probability of success, so let's do increased research speed. The powerful energies of the Shroud have flooded into the communal psionic link that is shared between all Emutherians. A collective knowledge base that is shared telepathically between our scientists has been established, which will greatly increase the efficiency of their work. Bearben, how you doing? Is Stellaris online? So it can be if you want. I tend to play the game single player quite a bit, but if you are so inclined, there is a multiplayer option. I don't know. My experience has always been to sort of play with people I already know, but I believe you can search for servers. I just don't really know what the experience is like to just play with random people. But it probably, of the games, it's the one that maybe lends itself a little bit more to a traditional multiplayer game because the starts are quite a bit more similar. Whereas, of course, if you're playing something like Hearts of Iron or Europa Universalis 4, obviously, depending on the country that you pick, you're going to have
System survey complete.
an easier or a tougher time. And I know one of the complaints people sometimes have about the historical games is that you can have people who are natural rivals, but in order to just sort of dominate the game, they sort of, they all sort of ally together and just sort of, slap everyone else around. So Stellaris doesn't quite seem to be affected by that because it's, again, it's all of the species that you'll be playing are basically out, they're taking their first steps into space, really. But yeah, the simple answer to your question is there's definitely an online component to the game if you want. And how am I? I've been really groggy today. The sleep stuff still hasn't really been solved. It's getting a little bit better. And the real challenge is that I've got a really full week ahead of me, not just work-wise, but I'm actually behind on my recordings for the weekend. I have one 3-hour video I need to do, and then I actually have a bunch of stuff for the YouTube channel that I would like to record sooner rather than later if I can. And again, it's all, it's a nice problem to have to a certain extent, but I also need to. I also need to think a bit about how I'm going to find the time to get everything done. I kind of want to, let's put him on Iblira. So Iblira is another industry-oriented world. Oh, excellent. Okay, so I was waiting for this trade deal to expire. Our treaty with the Giroid Empire has timed out. We traded 213 minerals for 60 consumer goods. So I gotta spike that trade that I'm doing right now. And we'll see where we stand budget-wise.
The spirits have granted us new wisdom.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it's a nice problem to have, right? So, if I think, here's the way to properly think about it. And the problem is that just because my brain can tell me this doesn't necessarily mean that, my body and emotions will be feeling it. What is taking up my time? Well, one, I have a job, and obviously having a job during the pandemic and kind of recessionary activity that's happening as a response to it, even though we're sort of on our way out, that is still a nice problem to have, right? Not everybody could count on job stability, and I could. I have a Twitch channel and YouTube channel that, while by more or less any kind of standard measure of success, people wouldn't necessarily consider me a large or influential channel, the fact that all of you still show up and can hear this message is really nice. And so it would be hard for me to say, oh God, I need to take at least 9 hours a week, out of my week to do this streaming stuff. No, I'm doing that voluntarily. And it's really cool that there are people who are willing to do that, because I watch people, and one of the most common things I will hear when I'm watching people is, why isn't anybody watching my stuff? And the answer is usually because you're only talking about how nobody's watching your stuff. It's a hard impulse to fight. Likewise, making special videos for the YouTube channel, the fact that has been growing, another wonderful problem to have. And then I've been, it was unfortunate to lose all of that work last week. I'm still in the process of trying to rebuild a lot of it. But it's been really encouraging to just go back and be doing a lot of data work that I find interesting. In this case, having all of your work be lost is, I would never recommend it, but it was a wonderful motivator to just sort of really kind of jump in with both feet again. So, the busyness is not the worst thing that could have happened to me, for sure. It's just, I am really feeling a bit stretched at the moment, so. Hey, Wolfenstein. I'm not going to war. I'm actually probably avoiding war because the Zaxoid Stellar Confederation have already vassalized the Talakor Citizen Compact. The Talakor Citizen Compact are being eaten alive by the Endurga Horde. It doesn't actually seem like... So it might just be because... I think here I can't see these enemy units because I've used up all of my infiltration on missions. But basically, it seems to be that the Horde is getting stronger. I'm not strong enough to be able to take out their fleets. I need to kind of batten down the hatches and get ready for a potential tough time. It might even be an idea just to move the fleet up here, except that if I do that, it's like I need to prepare for a world in which the Endurga Horde move to Wesen, and at that point they pour out of Intham. Intham isn't currently sitting on a bunch of... oh, sorry, it's not Intham, it's Mysa. That'll hold me for a little while, and I can build up more for sure. But we're definitely at a point where they're coming after us. No, I absolutely don't want to. Because doing that would cause the Zaxoids to go to war with me. Then I would have the Endurga Horde trying to take me, and the only way I'd be able to access it would be through the wormhole. Oh god, they're already here. Yeah, no, I need to focus on defending my stuff. The worst possible thing I could be doing right now would be getting more territory in Ground Zero here. In fact, I'm happy that my fleet is on its way to clear out the pirates, because we're probably going to need them right away. Okay, society. Command matrix for that extra ship fire rate. And while I would have loved to upgrade another citadel, we pretty much... I think it's fair to say that we should expect company through this territory. So let's build as many defensive structures as we can. Mysa now gets the priority in terms of resources. Let's put down a comms jammer, a blink computer. I might even go nuts and put the defense grid supercomputer in there. I'm not sure about that. Maybe a crew quarters is more appropriate.
Our ships have been improved.
Yeah, I mean, I've got so much. So again, I talked about this at the start of the stream, but like basically, like I have two options, which is one to try and take costly territory in the sense that it will cost me influence and it will cost me the stability that comes from having non-aggression pacts with people. Or I could take territory that's completely uncontested that I can colonize immediately, and be able to build a fleet that'll allow me to sort of steamroll everyone else. Now, I was kind of hoping I would have a little bit more time to be able to build a second fleet of the strength of my main one. But at the very least here, like that turtling strategy, what that has enabled for me is the ability to handle the Horde arriving at the Mysa system. In theory, obviously, we'll see how it all goes.
Our ships have been improved.
Okay, we have to get a science ship on that.
Our ships have been improved. Construction complete.
The Vernalis Starfleet has destroyed a pirate station in the Vitreous system and recovered the strong room module.
Our ships have been improved.
So I had a science ship that was kicking around somewhere. I think I sent them on like an auto explorer. Yeah, so let's not get you doing that. Let's get you researching this project. This construction ship I probably was letting sit idle for no reason. And then this construction ship, I will... So again, this is control shift, so we'll build the mines to recover the energy in the Bitria system. We've got our living metal, and we're also going to take this row. But right now, the priority is get the Vernalis Starfleet. First of all, it's going to go back to the capital to upgrade as quickly as possible. Then we're going to dock them in Maisa in prep for the arrival of the Endurga Horde. So... Oh, thank you. Yeah, and I mean, again, like, obviously the important thing here is, for me, this is how I'm approaching the game. Other people might say that, yeah, immediately invading the Talakor Citizen Compact is the way to go. But it seems to me right now that I can't afford to just let other empires take care of the Horde now. That they're on my doorstep. And I need to make sure that I've got a plan to be able to sort of take back the territory. The other thing that's important to remember too is that I have an opportunity here that if I can clear them out. So if let's say that the Talakor lose this system, I can then take one of my ships and I can claim this for myself, and I can start taking this territory on my own. So it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world to let them get beaten up a little bit. Like if they've already thrown in with a potential rival, I can sort of afford to give up a little bit of territory, or like give up a little bit of territory in the sense of having the Horde get stronger. Although it's worth remembering that, if the Horde successfully vassalizes entities, the Horde itself gets stronger. And I already can't handle their existing
Our
ships.
ships have been improved.
All right, these lasers have a shorter wave... Okay, speaking of those defensive platforms going away, these lasers have a shorter wavelength than UV-based laser weaponry, but are even more destructive. Okay, I think the time has come for barrier point defense again. We want as much boom as we can, even... Wait, this isn't the... No, this is not the Great Khan's fleet. But yeah, this thing's sitting at 19.5k strength. Not the sort of thing I want to be tangling with. And we have no idea what they're...
Our
We have no idea what they're
ships have been
packing.
improved.
Looks like they don't care
Our
about this
ships
territory,
have been
though.
improved. Our ships have been improved. Our ships have been improved. Our ships have been improved.
Sorry for all the updates to spam. It's just how the game's made.
Anomaly found.
Okay. Initial scans of the asteroid 41CV-109D suggest a dense mass of wrought metal within it, perhaps a part of some machinery or other technology. Further scanning required for more detailed data. Oh, here's a question for you guys. So, I know this isn't Stellaris related, but this would actually be really helpful for me. I pretty much ignored E3 this year. And in one sense, it's a wonderful decision, because I don't know, like, I don't feel this need for companies to sell me stuff. I don't feel obligated to, to participate in the discourse or anything. But I am actually a little curious if there was something announced that people are really into. I will confess, I did see a little bit of the Xbox Bethesda stream because, like I'm a Game Pass user now, right? I do have a Series X, and I mean, there's a reason I got one. Microsoft is definitely investing a lot of money to make its platform very attractive. So Starfield, I think, was the big announcement out of that. But as a whole, I would say I'm pretty unfamiliar, particularly with the indie game stuff. I'd love to know, because there's like a couple of websites like Game Informer. I don't understand. Like Game Informer has this page where it's like all of the E3 announcements in one place. That's their claim, and I'm like, it really doesn't seem to be that. It seems to be very much not that. I really don't know. I don't know if there's anything I should be paying attention to. All right, as suspected, the asteroid 41CV-109D holds within it a great mass of metal and does indeed hide some manner of machinery. The gathered data clearly shows that its constituent parts contain great quantities of stored energy, but its purpose remains unknown. Proceed carefully. Trojan asteroid. Caution proved well in order. Hidden inside 41CV-109D was a host of old mining drones programmed to attack on site. Science officer Dimi Dujamak fortunately detected this early and was able to jam the drone sensors long enough to disable them. The drone's cores are old indeed, but retain vast amounts of energy for siphoning. Sorry guys, if you could just give me a quick second. There is something in another window that's really bugging me, and I just need to get it out of my system. Sorry about this. I don't normally like pausing the stream just to do something like this, but I'll try and make it quick. All right, sorry about that. Senate's in session for collective waste management. I was okay with that. In fact, it seems to be things are more or less in line with what I want for the next few. Whoa! Space Storm Con dissipates. As quickly as it appeared, Space Storm Con has completely dissipated. Ship systems will no longer be impaired by those systems where subspace disturbances had manifested. Although some speculate that storms such as Con could lead to the eventual collapse of the hyperspace network thousands of years in the future, for now space travel seems to have returned to normal. And I put all that money into, or not money, I put all those resources into getting a new ambassador and not actually using it. So let's take a sec. Actually, you know what would be really helpful in this screen, because this is how we access espionage as well. It would be kind of helpful to have. Okay, Vitresis, Gyroid, Talakur. And Zaxoid I'm actually already maintaining. Okay, well, I guess I don't need to maintain anymore. But yeah, so I mean, at this point, like this is kind of what my goal would be is the Black Codex. I want to have I kind of want to have a spy in every capital, and ideally, I mean, it'll take us a while, but it would be great to have these numbers at like the maximum value. But I really don't want to spend the money on it right now. So we could be trying to make nice with other people, but I'll leave it be. I might get up. It's been about an hour and a half, so I might take a minute to get up and get some tea. I'm not 100% sure whether or not I should have done this, but it is pretty powerful. So the Soulstone, pulsing within her light, seems to wordlessly beckon. We touch it, and our minds are drawn to a pocket dimension of the Shroud, where the enigmatic entity called Jab Baxti awaits. It knows things no mortal being could know, and it seems willing to share its secrets now that we have reached its sanctum. I think probably Matters Marshall is where we want to go. Oh God. You're trying to kill me, Olaf? I'm really trying to fix my sleep patterns. I've not played, so I did make the mistake of putting the Xbox in the same room where my bed is, so it is possible to play games like when I'm trying to go to sleep. I've actually not played the thing in like 2 or 3 weeks, specifically to try and get myself back on a healthy sleep schedule. And even then, like, I've just like it's clear that it's not because I'm doing other stuff. Okay, well, it's sort of because I'm doing other stuff, because when I can't go to sleep, I will just go and do something else. But yeah, no, if I have coffee now, I am almost certainly going to be up at like 6:30 in the morning, and then wondering why, you know, why I'm so groggy on a day oh God, you know, the worst thing is I actually fell asleep at 5:30 last night. And I start work probably later than most of my peers, but I don't start that late. And I tried to be asleep by like 1. 1 was like, okay, I'm kind of pushing it, but like, yeah. Anyways, I don't want to complain about it too much, but it's been a challenge, and I do feel sometimes the broadcasts have failed, or not failed, but I think they've suffered a little bit for it. Okay, Arcane Deciphering. These artifacts can be used as the core for a powerful building that rivals those a fallen empire could create. We now have the ability to build a sky dome on one of our planets. Let us proclaim a religious revelation. Now we will find military applications. So what aspect shall we focus on? Combat drugs. So this would be for armies. Harmonic isolation will boost our shield damage. Weak point analysis, better armor damage. You know what? Let's say never mind. I wonder if I get those relics back. Yes, we do. So what I think I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to wait, and so when a battle actually occurs, then I'll activate those. This is the Great Khan. We could take on a 32k. Sorry. Yeah. We're doomed. The best I can hope for is that they come and they try to take me out here. But yeah, they are clearly just going to wipe out the Talakura Citizen Compact. And the best that I can hope for now is to start manufacturing an assassination fleet. It's actually going to be 2 assassination fleets to try and boost that number up. Like, we can throw 2 fleets at them, and the worst thing is that unless the Khan is changed, we know that we're going to have to kill them like 3 times. Yeah. Now I'll be fine. Like, I'm sure I'll get over it at some point. I can't really say that the summer weather has been really helping, because like either it's too hot in my room or
evading heretics.
Another mining core. But they're not being bothered. Oh, Fighting Drone Expansion Initiative. That's new. Yeah, like I'll be. I've gotten over it before, but it's
The
just
spirits have granted us new wisdom.
challenging. Okay, advances in building techniques will allow for the construction of sturdier and more durable destroyers. Also, aren't you based in the UK? Like, aren't you obligated to like prefer tea? What was the point of the Empire if you're not going to get some tea? Mega Cannon would be a bit of an equalizer. I think I want to go for cheap. So let's start with the Swarmer missiles, and then I'll maybe do the autocannon following that. You might be biased here. You weren't. Oh, gotcha. What about this time project? Before that, we got to buy back one of our people. Who's got the smallest population?
The faithful have claimed a new world.
Ah! All right. As usual, we'll do a... I gotta figure out where I want to put the Sky Dome. I guess it doesn't matter the order that I put it in, so we'll do the Temple and the Gene Clinic. And we'll start with the City District. There's nothing else to clear out, so we're good on that front. Alright, and we kept our... So one of the reasons why I was reluctant to spend energy credits is because of my... because of this agreement. So, Curator Research Aid, the agreement that we signed giving you access to our databanks has run its course. Would you like to extend it for another 10 standard years, or do your researchers no longer require the information we offer? We would like to extend the deal for 5,000, and we have enough to handle the Kickstarter as well. Oh, speaking of Kickstarter, Haste is almost finishing. I am sorry to say it doesn't look like they're going to hit their goal. I hope they do, but it started strong, and then it feels like it definitely feels like things started to slow down. I'm sure they will still make the game. I just don't know what their plans are if it doesn't turn out. But again, I actually don't like talking about my assessment of them succeeding, for the very reason that it is within our power to make this happen.
The spirits have granted us new wisdom.
No. Okay, I was looking at that red hull points number. I was like, they might be ready to be taken out. If people actually, you know what, I should get the, rather than just talk about it, let's get the link, and I'll share that there, and that'll give me a chance to put the kettle on to make my, I'll say it's coffee for Olaf, and then I'll make my tea. So here's hot sauce spreads. Actually, you know what? Okay, so if you want to follow the developer, this is their Twitter. And Haste has got 59 hours to go, so they are 8,746 out of 20,000. So obviously they're going to need a big influx of attention, and clearly my stream is not necessarily going to be the one that that does it. But it is a good game. I would actually say it's got a Steam page, and you can play the demo and all of that. It's a good little real-time card game, and I figured because I'm going to take a minute and just get up and do my thing, I would give you that advertising as opposed to the Twitch advertising. I'm going to take a quick minute to myself just to get myself all sorted out again, and then we'll be ready for some more Stellaris. I'll probably do what I normally do, turn the kettle on, come back and play the game, and then actually make the coffee after it's boiling. So I'll see you all in just a sec. Okay, I stupidly put some chocolate in my mouth just as I was coming back, so I might sound a little sticky. Interlink support systems. Arrays of defensive armaments prove much more effective than independent countermeasures. I'm really sorry about this. Okay, if I want to continue on my path of low-tech stuff, the advanced research complexes makes the most sense. It's also the least useful to me right now. But this costs like almost twice as much. 22 months versus 18. I'll take another 4 months for an antimatter reactor. And we need more base level workers. Maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I want to... Well, we're not going to get all these building slots. I'll still go for it. Lost contact. We bring alarming news, Imitharian friends. Contact with our colony on New Baldorak has been lost. They no longer respond to any of our satellite transmissions, and we fear the worst. Perhaps the aliens who bombarded our original homeworld have returned to finish the job. Please send a ship to investigate. We will dispatch a ship at once. Excellent. Hopefully it's just a faulty transmitter. Have you seen this event before? Whoa! Khan! I would have loved to have upgraded the ships, but they've forced our hand.
One of our stations is beset by enemies. Mining station martyred.
Oh god, we're gonna be so
martyred.
late.
Spaceport martyred. Spaceport martyred. The spirits have granted us new wisdom.
Obviously, being able to have the full fleet together is much more effective than, just taking them on piecemeal. But I mean, it's what we've been given, right? Like, there's nothing else we can do about this. Restructuring the chain of command and deciding what interdependencies are set between officers make fleets more responsive and effective. And the kettle just boiled, so I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so got a bonus to our fire rate, which is good. Restructure, new research, penal colony. Okay. So these things are heavier on armor than they are on shields. What does my configuration look like? Okay. So we'll rip through the shields, but we'll have some trouble with the armor. So we'll do weak point analysis to give us an edge against their strongest form of protection. Weak point analysis. And let's see if we can do any edicts to give ourselves an edge. So influence isn't going to help me here, but volatile ammunition. Oh yes, okay. So what kind of weapons are our defense platforms packing? Actually, is now the time to be stingy? Probably not. Let's just buy one of everything. All right. This is about as swole as we're going to get the fleets. Oh, beauty! Look at that 22k boost. And okay, we'll give it some time as they move in closer, but hold the line, my friends, hold the line.
Construction complete.
We could do supermassive fleet, but I believe there's only one appropriate. They haven't arrived yet. Get in there! This, unfortunately, is about to fall. Esteemed Matriarch! Not a good time! Esteemed Matriarch Tiki Dakara, a decade ago the Black Codex pledged to support the artisan troop, and so you have. The time of your patronage is coming to an end, but we would be remiss not to ask, would you care to renew your subscription to the finest arts and crafts in the galaxy? Fine, just go away.
Spaceport martyred.
That sucks. Make them pay. Oh, don't you dare. No, no, no. They move faster, don't they? That's going to give them all the time in the world to return. Oh, you're kidding me. So they just took that from us and ran. They're almost certainly going to outrun us. I'm mad. Because we spent so much on that too. I want to see if I can catch him still. And we'll build a new... We're going to build a new construction ship. Because this is going to take forever to recover. So I will allow myself an emergency escape. I just want to see if I can catch this guy in the same system. Okay. Supremacy, so we can do a reduction to ship build costs, build speeds, upkeep, fire rate. We got to go for the fire rate right now. So, everything must be brought to bear on the enemy if victory is to be assured. A swift and decisive attack can paradoxically save lives that would have been needlessly lost in a prolonged engagement. Fight me, you coward. Oh, come on! All right. Now we're turning this music off. We actually don't need to worry about the new construction ship anymore. We need to patch up the holes in my existing infrastructure. I think we kind of... Oh, well, the Horde's coming from both ends, so we also need to get that other... fleet online as soon as possible. Well, okay, so battleships take a long time to build. Let's start with those.
The spirits have granted us new wisdom.
Okay, these smaller missiles are launched in volleys and have been specifically designed to overwhelm enemy point defense systems. Again, in this case, we'll put as much as we can into getting as much tech as we can. Specifically military tech. So obviously Yinin is going to eventually be a target for expansion. I think we can do the upgrades for starters. Turning it into a citadel would also be an idea, but clearly I want to get my
Our ships
fleet
have
and
been
ready to go.
improved.
And
Our
in a
ships have been
pinch, I will
improved.
spend a lot of money to. In a pinch, I'll spend a lot of money to get more
Our
alloys,
ships
but
have
that's
been improved.
that's sort of a last resort. I do have terraforming
Our
candidates,
ships
though.
have been improved.
So the Savannah world... Okay, actually there's a few things we can do. So we will terraform the Savannah world into a continental world, so that's 5,000 down. We'll also visit the Shroud again. Must focus. Reach into the Shroud. An endless desert stretches before us. We have been here before. Shalakul Mailamzunak. Something emerges from the sand. It is difficult to see. Zarbal Melatsuk. Words are like thunder, spoken by a mouth for which they were never intended. We are compelled to answer. Shashkamalak, Tirit Nali Damasura, or Kunak de Kirak. Curse bestowed. A powerful psychic backlash has bounced back through our conduit within the Shroud and into the communal psionic link that is shared between all Emetherians. The sense of unity that once existed between our citizens has been shattered. Monthly unity is minus 20% for 60 months. I'm starting to think that this Shroud thing might have unintended consequences. Obviously, we need to get the starbase up and running before the Horde shows up. And we've kind of done everything we can on our other worlds to get the kind of done everything we can on our own worlds to get the alloy production up. But I will definitely start tilting things towards that kind of production where I can. What does this take? This takes volatile motes, which we have plenty of. This is the new one. Yeah, we can afford another, I guess. I don't exactly need it, but... Yeah, so I mean, it's all just a matter of time, really. And it would be helpful if I unpause the game.
Our ships have been improved. System survey complete.
I don't know, but
Our ships have been improved.
I'm wondering if this is a function of me
Our ships have been improved.
not having played the game for a while, or if something else is going
Us
on.
new wisdom.
Okay, through the development of special penal worlds,
Our
criminals
ships
can be
have been
rehabilitated through
improved.
honest hard labor. Some may be in need of permanent rehabilitation.
Our ships have been improved.
Okay, I'm not going to build it, but sure, Hollow Temple, why not? And I didn't exactly want to do this with my capital world, but I think we're going to toss another pair of shipyards. And let's... Oh, that's a different queue. Okay, I'm happy about that. I'm starting to think that probably building more defensive platforms on like every single starbase is a good idea, but alloys are scarce at the moment, so I wanna be a little careful about that. Okay, I'm gonna take a quick second here just to see if there are any worlds which don't have proper capitals yet. Okay, Kalajom is a new one. Okay, well, we'll stick him on Kalajom.
Our ships have been improved.
So, what you saw there in terms of how I sort of prepped for the Great Khan, even though it didn't turn out, that's an example of why I try and go and take those strategic resources early. It's not necessarily because I think all of a sudden I'm going to need things like volatile motes. It's the fact that all of those turns, even if I'm just getting +1 a turn, it gives me this huge stockpile that I'm going to be able to draw on. And so in this case, even though it was a complete waste in this particular case, although, I mean, presumably if the Great Khan's fleet did not get a bloody nose off of trying to take my, my sector, they would have probably just continued to. They probably would have just continued on in my territory. But obviously, being able to spend that stuff and without having to think too much about the consequences, that's a big step up, and that's basically a way that I can try and give myself an emergency ed. So it's one of these things which is really hard to quantify at the moment, because when you're starting the game, right, you've got all of 3 systems and you're like, yeah, I'm just not going to use volatile motes right now. But the thing that you can do is if you just have this passive flow of strategic resources coming in, then it means when the time comes to hit a bunch of edicts,
The spirits have granted us new
you'll be
wisdom.
in better shape. Okay, our investigation of New Balderach has revealed nothing out of the ordinary. The satellite the colony used to communicate with their capital is still functional as far as we can tell. Open a channel to the planet. The Revolutionary Front. Greetings from the New Balderach Revolutionary Front. We have thrown off the yoke of oppression and are at last free from the tyranny of Balderach. We have no quarrel with you, Emetharian, as long as you refrain from aiding the Balderach imperialists in their inevitable attempt to crush our revolution. You could help us take the fight to our enemies, however. Would you be willing to deliver one of our commando units to Balderach? Tell us what you have planned. We want to infiltrate Balderach with one of our elite commando units. They will then incite a popular uprising amongst the decadent elite that lords over our people. After the tyrants have been deposed, all Dathnak will at last know what it is to have true freedom. Straightforward plan if there ever was one, Emetharian. We're not getting involved in your internal dispute. Of course you're not. We wouldn't want the revolution to spread to the oppressed masses in your tyrannical empire. Can't have that. This barren and lifeless world is showing signs of once having supported a biosphere. Oh, and we got our antimatter reactors. By harnessing the energy produced by matter-antimatter annihilations, our efficiency at generating ship power will be orders of magnitude better than fusion. Again, cheap tech if I can, and looks like plasma accelerator is what the doctor ordered. Iblira's short on workers. God. Our detailed survey of Fangor 2 has revealed that it may once have supported life in the distant past. There are significant deposits of frozen water at the polar ice caps and beneath the planet's surface. The existence of valley networks suggests that water may have once flowed freely. Terraforming this planet would theoretically be possible, but we do not yet possess the technology to accomplish this monumental task within a realistic time frame. So I'm obviously prioritizing energy credits because we're doing okay for food. We've got more than enough in terms of minerals, but energy is one of these things I can never have enough because, of course, energy will be how I can get more. How I can get more of any of the other resources. Large caliber ballistic weapons that fire cased explosive shells. The main advantage of these cannons is their high rate of fire. Antimatter missile? Antimatter missile.
System survey complete.
Oh. I'm a little annoyed that I wasn't using the science ship. Okay, I'm gonna start directing the ships again, I think. Ah, so the Marauders might actually already be here. I speak on behalf of the lawful Dathnak government on Balderach. We have received a manifesto from the group that seized control of New Balderach, and boy, what a bunch of hogwash. These brigands and anarchists are a terrible embarrassment to us, Emetharian. Will you help us stomp out their little revolution before it spreads here and someone actually gets hurt? General Paltanak has prepared an expeditionary force to retake the colony, but we'll need your help transporting it there. Well, they were pretty rude to us, so we shall help you.
Situation log update.
We knew we could count on you, Emetharian. These rebels won't know what hit them. At this point, the Khan's gonna die of old age, I think.
The spirits have granted us new wisdom.
For what it's worth, I tried a little bit of Total War Attila, so this is feeling very relevant. Seeing is believing, and belief begets reality. Okay, as always, let's just take a quick look at our options. Gene modification +1 is actually really tempting to go for, but I don't think I can afford the redirecting the resources towards actually doing the engineering. So I'm going to start with habitability modification, and then we'll double back and get the gene modification points and the assumption that it'll be more affordable in future. I made a mistake by putting the battleships ahead. Fortunately, 2 of them are done soon, so... And we're 6 cruisers, so... So again, continuing our expansion up to Sawa and Taiga. I guess while I'm at it, I might as well assign the new leader. So, resilient and a brain slug. So I can go for an aggressive and relatively young, but I think because this one's resilient and I get the plus 25 years, this is the better overall candidate. They have more longevity in addition to the better stats.
Construction complete.
Okay, so that would be all the shipyards.
Evading heretics.
Okay, I'm not too worried about that. I mean, they're coming after my science ship, right? But they're not a major concern. Good God, that's a big empire.
Special project complete.
Several freighters under escort of the ISS Ylorum have dropped the cargo canisters carrying the Dathnak Expeditionary Force into New Balduric's atmosphere. Moments later, flashes can be seen coming from beneath the gas giant's cloud layer. The fighting appears to have started. Now we wait and see what happens next. Man, they really like going into this part of space. I'm gonna... I'll let them do their auto.
Complete.
The science ship is idle because it was running away. They are really determined to go into dangerous territory. Who am I to tell them otherwise? I don't have that many science colonies right now, so...
Construction complete.
Okay. So I wanted to keep some... alloys aside. As before, give them defensive buildings. Let's start them off with the disruption field generator. Oh yeah, actually the numbers that I was seeing on their shields might have been a result of the jet. No, hang on, they weren't inside the range yet. Expeditionary Force seizes control. General Peltonak here, speaking from New Baldorak. Operation Gaseous Fury has been a complete success. All primary objectives have been seized, and government control has been restored to all atmospheric sectors. Aside from a few holdouts, most rebel units have surrendered or have been routed. Much obliged for the support, Emutherians. If you'll excuse me, I need to transmit a casualty report to Baldorak. Peltonak out. A well-executed operation.
Anomaly found.
This barren, lifeless world is showing signs of once having supported a biosphere. Okay.
Our ships have been improved.
Construction ship's already on its way. Wait, did it really do the whole fleet? Cool.
Construction complete.
Unfortunately, it feels like the military power actually went down.
The spirits have granted us new wisdom.
Advanced missiles equipped with very powerful antimatter warheads. A new and improved guidance system gives them a better chance of finding their targets. So the impulse thruster is tempting because we were having trouble catching up with the enemy. But it's going to take 47 months. Let's draw from the deck again. Our detailed survey of Castron 4 has revealed that it may once have supported life in the distant past. There are significant deposits of frozen water at the polar ice caps and beneath the planet's surface. The experience of Valley Network suggests that water may have once flowed freely. Terraforming this planet would theoretically be possible, but we do not yet possess the technology to accomplish this monumental task within a realistic time frame. I did not realize I had unemployment like that. I'm not quite ready to sell the full 10,000 yet, but been too busy focusing on military matters. Okay, what are we looking at here? Specialist jobs. It's not every day I see those pass up. You know what? This is going to be the other breadbasket, wasn't it? How many agri-worlds do I have? Yeah, I kind of messed this up. Okay. Well, this is just going to give me another farmer. But I do want a food processing facility. And I mean, a slave processing facility is tempting because I believe slaves can work agriculture. But then the question is whether or not I will actually have slaves working agriculture. Okay, so what specialist buildings do I want on this planet? I could do, like, side science. There's no rule saying that you can't have specialized stuff. Yeah, actually, what did I do on Gribben? So Gribben, I just built another temple. Interesting. I guess because temple... No, actually, that makes sense, because temples don't have multipliers like science buildings. Okay. So that means that I might want to consider on... Nope, sorry, Wentwork is a special case because Wentwork actually gets bonuses to certain things. Okay, I think I know how I'm going to proceed. Feral behavior. Reports from our colony on Cagilum Prime claims that there's been an increase in feral behavior. Apparently, parts of the population have expressed hitherto unprecedented levels of lust and aggression, and no one knows why. Carry on. Lead minority modifier, plus 10 crime, minus 10 happiness, plus 20 population growth speed. What exactly are these temples? Which... Did we ever clarify what religion these temples were to? Alright. Enable council veto power. And the Geroids are going for it. Are the Geroids actually on the council?
The spirits have granted us new wisdom.
Plasma accelerator. These new accelerators launch projectiles of high energy plasma with improved containment fields. This results in less energy leakage as the projectile travels in space towards its target.
System survey complete.
Excuse me. Violence on the rise. The feral behavior on Cagilon Prime shows no signs of stopping anytime soon. In fact, it has risen since the last report. Promiscuous and violent acts happen all the time, and a large part of the population seem to be affected. Rowdy bunch modifier added, giving the following effects: plus 25 crime, minus 25 happiness, plus 35 pop growth speed. It is tempting to do advanced research complexes, but we have been focusing a lot on military tech. So hyperlane drive, I think, is the happy medium here. And I feel like my fleets are probably going to be in this constant upgrade cycle, but it's not the end of the world right now. Getting better ships is really hard to say. It's really hard to say that getting better ships is a hardship. Yeah, hardship. Oh, and I'm drowning in credits, so if we're not terraforming more... This is madness! The situation on Kajalon Prime has spiraled out of control. A staggering number of inhabitants are now infected with whatever is causing this feral deluge, and the colony has started to break down because of it. Something needs to be done, or Kajalon Prime will be lost. Well, then do something.
Situation log updated.
All right. It's high time to investigate what's causing the strange and destructive behavior on the Kajalon Prime colony.
System survey complete.
Vitresis Hive has completed the construction of a gateway in the Bera system. Okay, the Vitresis Hive is doing very well under the new under the Marauders. Where's Bera? Okay.
System survey complete.
Stop! Caston 3's toxic biosphere gives the planet a very unique color scheme. Research that. Don't worry about the surveys. And it is an envoy. Okay, I'm not that worried about it, although I probably will need to reassign. Oh, no, hang on. Do we not get a... Yeah, okay, we get a new one.
Special project complete.
Savage spores. The investigation of the strange and wild behavior currently besetting Kajalon Prime has been completed. In the vast network of cave tunnels that permeates the planet's crust, an enigmatic fungus has been found. It grows all over the caves, floor, walls, ceiling, and stretches out for thousands of miles. The fungus frequently releases spores that are vented out of the caves. For what purpose has not yet been established, but we know for certain that it causes primitive behavior in our species, releasing primal urges within. We can try to find a useful application for this phenomenon, or we can exterminate the fungus altogether. Live or let die. Let us utilize the cave mushrooms.
Situation log updated.
If nothing else, because the plantoid, the plantoid hive mind is the current power. Our scientists will try and find ways to use the primal effects of the cave mushrooms to our benefit.
Special project complete.
Cloud and Strife. Industrial facilities have been built over the outlets for the fungus-infested cave system. Apart from filtering and regulating the spread of the spores, these plants can also convert any excess spore clouds into useful exotic gases. The population growth is increased as the somewhat randy inhabitants of the Kajalon Prime satisfy their urges more frequently, which undoubtedly also means that the level of violence and conflict is somewhat higher on Kajalon Primes. That's the price of progress. So 2 extra gas plant engineer jobs, 1 gas plant engineer job per 20 pops. The lesser evil modifier added, giving the following effects: -5 happiness, plus 20% growth speed, and we end the overload event chain. So I'm curious if I have to build... Curious if I actually have to build the gas extractor, or if those jobs just kind of pop out of nowhere. Yep, those jobs pop out of nowhere. So pretty happy with how that turned out, especially because pop growth is obviously something we've been pursuing pretty aggressively in this game. We do have the influence to move on to the next system, and again, we have a lot of energy credits to work with, so I should be doing as much terraforming as I can. I think at this point, as long as it doesn't take me below 10, I'm actually gonna start doing this to the worlds that are closest to me. And then following that, I'll be a little bit more selective. One of the reasons I want them to be somewhat close is just because of the... that's 5,000. Well, we can afford one more. It's mostly just because of the current crisis. Actually, you know what? We can... Greetings, patron Tigi Dakara. We have recently been forced to scrap most of our technical equipment due to a minor malfunction. Would the materials and scrap be of any use to you by any chance? We will salvage the materials. Okay, we are getting close to a crisis as far as industry is concerned again, although it looks like we're short on simple jobs, so we can do at least one more city district. Oh, a couple. What's RNS doing? Yeah, I kind of thought that might happen. We really don't need the extra minerals, so... I'm going to take a new approach to how this works as far as available jobs. So for this world, it's a tough call. So we've already kind of got all the building slots that we need. In fact, I'm going to convert... I think I'm going to convert this into a generator. I may need to convert these into city districts at some point, but let's get some proper focus back here. So how are we doing? Okay, worker jobs we're sort of empty on, so we'll build another one of those up here. It's a forge world. I'll work with this for now. Now this one's lacking specialists again. So in this case, I'm actually going to jump the queue, and I think I'm just going to stick another temple here. I kind of like science, but I have a science plan too. So RNS we're already working on. Lemsa we should be working on, although it's kind of a band-aid right now. We're just building a city district. So one more city district, and then what? Either another city district or something else. It's an industrial world. Yeah, we can build another. Wentwork. Not a lot of base jobs, so let's get another generator district built. And how are researchers doing? Let's throw another research onto the pile as well. I also need to start thinking about which of these planets I'm going to expand out into another research world, but more importantly, I need to think about how I'm going to be getting some additional consumer goods before too long. Okay, so Epsilon Indi has the opposite problem, which is not enough specialization. Fortunately, because of the... Wait a minute, this is the wrong one. So maybe I do the same... Temple for now. Okay, they've got sort of everything that they need. I think I'm going to focus on generator and industry here. Actually, let's build accordingly. Okay, Forge World, we sort of know what we want. Yeah, we have more than enough base jobs for people. Although we are getting a little shy of specialists. I don't have any specialist jobs right now, so let's anticipate that with a new city district. Borbo. Again, we don't have any base jobs, although this will be a little bit easy because we're sort of spoiled for choice here. This is probably one where it makes sense to build the mining districts. So maybe we'll add another one of those, and we'll add one of these. It's a bureaucratic center. It's only going to be a bureaucratic center. I mean, I guess I can follow up with some industry if it really comes down to it. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 10. Yeah, so we'll have about five industry here when all is said and done. How are the specialist jobs doing? In this case, keep building city districts until we're ready to go. Again, bureaucratic centers need to be focused on bureaucracy. Any artisan jobs are secondary. Right, and this is my industrial world, so we're pretty much already on track for these guys. It's really just a matter of filling the jobs. Okay. I'm feeling a bit better about where we're at job-wise.
System survey complete.
I think that's 4 or 5 cruisers. Matrice's hive has opened the borders, although I could have read the dialogue. And the shroud is accessible. Why not? The shroud is quiet today. Reach into the shroud. There is a presence here occupying this entire part of the shroud. We have met spirits before, but this is something else, something vastly more powerful, something far more ancient. It seems unaware of us, and yet, perhaps it is sleeping. Perhaps we are simply beneath its notice. Perhaps we should leave. Attempt to communicate with the presence. Before we can reach out for the presence, it reaches out for us. Its thoughts coil and twist themselves around the minds of our telepaths, bargaining, cajoling. It is the instrument of desire, and it will grant us wealth, power, prestige, all that we have ever desired, all that we will ever desire. The cost? A small matter, a little more than a cover fee. It only wants what's best for us. It will help us, guide us, direct our ambitions and our dreams. If we will only accept it into our hearts, it is confident that we will say yes. How could we possibly not say yes? So a 10% bonus for jobs. All right, have a good one, Wolfenstein. 10% bonus for jobs for what I am assuming is a pact with the devil. Oh my god. What? How do I even pick what I do on this one? It's pretty clear, it's telegraphing that this can go wrong. We haven't had the best luck with the medium again, there will be a price to pay. I guess it kind of comes down to what risk am I willing to take on at the time that the Marauders are kicking around? Because it's 10% from jobs in exchange for what? I'm assuming probably some kind of a... I'm just trying to, I'm trying to reason through my head, what are the things that they could do to, hurt me? And it's okay, well, probably a debuff at some point. But it's what would the, alternative be? And then, maybe the question is I should quantify what, I should maybe quantify what I, what I think I want to get out of this thing. Okay, well, let's think about this. So 10% from jobs, so that would mean 50 extra energy credits, 19 extra minerals, about 45 additional food, another 30 consumer goods, another 20 alloys, and then another 60 for Unity. So I mean, like, it's not bad, right? It's hard, like, it's hard to say that is a it's hard to say that that's like a super. You know what? Screw it. Form a covenant. It is done. We have formed a covenant with the instrument of desire. It did not take long for its effects to be felt. Reports of rich new veins of ore found in our mines. Businesses that were about to fail suddenly booming. Rare and valuable resources found on asteroids that were absolutely certain previously held nothing but ice and rock. It seems our empire is entering a golden age of wealth and prosperity, just as the instrument promised us. But what was the cost it spoke of? I'm sure it's nothing bad. This is a pretty grim timeline out of my Stellaris. Like, most of my species I kind of feel are somewhat hopeful. Oh, the tree says, we have allowed you to move freely in our territory for too long. Today we draw the line. Well, short-lived little piece. What are they mad about now? Oh, it's because I've closed the borders.
The spirits have granted us new wisdom.
Through glandular biological tailoring, we can change the environmental tolerance of our species to suit our needs. Well, climate restoration would have been interesting. I am very tempted to go for the fleet command. Yeah, let's do that. I was going to mess a little bit with my plans, but I think bigger star fleets as a whole are hard to argue with. So I want 6 cruisers. We've currently got 3 active, 2 in construction, so let's build another one right now, and then I just need to build a handful of destroyers and corvettes, and then I'm going to need to figure out how I want to kind of divide up the
spirits have granted us new wisdom.
The new command points in my fleets. Okay, the ability to alter a planet's weather patterns to suppress destructive weather phenomena will make residential buildings easier to maintain and open up new areas of habitation. So, as always, if I can, military tech first. So let's do the improved strike craft. Purple Rain, images capturing Kosan 3's mesmerizing purple-colored rain taken from the ISS Deverex surface exploration probe somehow find their way into the hands of the cultural elite on Quantos. While the discovery is of no scientific value, the evocative imagery of the colorful precipitation sparks a minor renaissance in the Immutherian art world, the positive effects of which shall be felt for years to come. Well, I'm happy that we've got some extra happiness. Yeah, and we're doing... I'm happy with the effects of the deal. Racket Industrial Enterprise. It is not a relic. It is an antique. Just think. It has survived this many centuries already. Built to last. What can you offer us? Oh, this is good. Look, an alloy. The weight, the luster, the glow. Have you ever seen such a metallic bonding? Incredible yield strength, maximum grade, nominal impurities. We can feel it. It calls to you. We'll give you 2,000 alloys in exchange for 15 Zro. Now, Zro is obviously one of these strategic assets that I'd like, but I've got 6K already. It's really hard for me to say that this is a bad deal. So certainly we accept your deal. Pleasure. Joy to be back. Joy to deal with the Black Codex. We will visit again. And this, of course, is going to go straight into my... Well, first of all, let's make sure that Misa, if it isn't already on an upgrade path... Yep, it's still on its way. So now, again, we're just building up our second fleet. That's kind of the priority now. So here, 11 destroyers, or as many as I can pull out in practice. Again, we've got a bit of a bottleneck because we've got a bunch of upgrades as well as ship construction. It's one of the reasons why I do the battleships straight away, because battleships are expensive. Yep, it's a big upgrade treadmill. But the good news is, based on what I'm packing right now, I'm in a position to start. Like, it'll take 2 fleets, but we're in a position to be able to take on the Great Khan, like, just with what we've got right now. And of course, I have potentially some options here to try and claim Wesen for myself. What would be a good idea here would be not just for me claiming Wesen, but for me thinking a little more carefully about specifically what I want to accomplish by taking this part of the galaxy. Like, what do I want access to? Obviously, being able to grab this corridor is really helpful, because this would give me a direct line on attacking the Vitresis Hive. And it seems to be relatively insulated. Like, if I could build a defensive station on Astora, I'm pretty much... You know, I'm pretty much laughing in terms of being able to control this little part of the galaxy. But there is that minor matter of the, you know, the Horde. Although, this is a question. Where did they come out of? Because if they're taking all of this territory, that's got to mean that there's a wormhole or a gate somewhere there. I'm not going to upgrade these guys yet, just because I know there's going to be new ships arriving for them. And I have a feeling I've got a construction... Nope, the construction ships are still doing their thing. Okay, let's grab an Emetherian. Is Aranis actually short on workers, or is it... No, I'm just waiting for stuff to be built. Let's add them to the new colony just so we can get that up and running quicker. So this I've got a little less stress about my consumer goods now, based off of that deal that we made.
Construction complete.
Okay, we're slowly but surely working towards our next colonization target.
System survey complete.
Okay, one more destroyer and then a bunch of corvettes. It probably wouldn't hurt for me to have another shipyard somewhere. I just haven't figured out quite where the right spot is. And I'm probably going to have to be proactive in taking out some of these Horde expansions. Problem is, until we've got defenses in Wesen, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have this fleet sort of sit idle or go too far away. We no longer see any reason to keep you locked out of our territory. Our borders are open to you again.
Our ships have been improved.
We have allowed you to move freely in our territory for too long. Today we draw the line. Sure, why not?
Our ships have been improved.
Oh, hello. Great Khan meets defeat. In spite of his vaunted military genius, Folsin, the Great Khan of the Endurga Horde, has met with defeat in the Saldopis system. when the armada he was commanding lost in battle against forces belonging to the unidentified empire. The Great Khan and his closest officers fled into hyperspace in a small shuttlecraft. Even now, Fauzelin is busy assembling a new armada to resume his conquests, but this victory has brought some much-needed respite to those who oppose the relentless advance of the Endurga horde. Okay, so the unidentified empire almost certainly is the sort of a fallen empire in this area here, so that's good. What'll probably happen if things don't change significantly? What's going to happen is the Endurga horde is going to split up into probably 2 different horde factions, which is fine. I mean, we've been short on species in the galaxy anyway, and it's just a potential conquest target. Like right now, things are looking kind of uniform. Talakur is basically out of the game now. There is an opportunity potentially for me to expand out into Wezen. The thing that's nice about this is that it really doesn't seem like the Zaxoid Stellar Confederation is going to do anything to try and claim that territory. And so that's an opportunity for me to try and pick some of that up for myself. So the Great Khan is not infallible. I'm actually kind of curious. Okay, so they're counting as inferior in terms of their fleet power, but I believe overall they are still... I don't believe I can do a vassalization offer to them yet. So Vitresis is still overwhelming. The Zaxoid still counts as equivalent. The Gearoids are inferior. So maybe what I'll do here is we'll guarantee their independence. Black Codex views the continued independence of the Gearoid Empire as a prerogative, and we are prepared to formally devote ourselves to that cause. Now, that is going to cost me influence, which I'm not crazy about, but this is going to be my first step towards trying to claim them as a vassal. The distance will be a problem, but the distance is going to be something that I fix by being able to expand. So I'm sort of laying the groundwork for some of this here. I also want to do a quick review of my intelligence. So yeah, we're slowly building back up on the Vitresis hive, but I suspect that's going to take a while. Zaxoids, what's going on here? We're at full... So we know everything about them. Working on that. Talakur. I'm a little surprised we don't know more, but... Now, I guess the big thing is they're only going to get better at encryption, so there's going to be a point at which I'm not able to throw my espionage weight around anymore.
Our ships have been improved.
Okay. Whatever your reasons, your support is appreciated. Now, of course, this potentially throws me into a war. The Vitresis hive may decide they want to take over the Gearoid Empire, but I'm trying to set myself up for future expansion here. All right, the Great Game. So there's a few options I have here. There's the ship build cost, which is really tempting, as is the upkeep and naval capacity. But this is actually really helpful for my defenses. Although, honestly, the build cost and the build speed is the thing that's holding me back right now. So, Master Shipwrights. The ever-increasing scope of our shipbuilding programs have led to the creation of highly skilled and efficient labor forces at our shipyards. Methods have continually been refined, and the time that it takes to go from hull plating to a completed starship is now shorter than ever before. I really wanted to do it the other way, but, I got to work with what I've been given here. Okay. I've forgotten how many destroyers this has got. So they've got 3 now. The queue has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wait, that doesn't make sense. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We're good. And 20 corvettes.
System survey complete. Our ships have been improved.
And we can do another terraforming operation, so Nishpan.
Our ships have been improved. Our ships have been improved. Our ships have been improved.
What I would really like to figure out here is the best way for me to get ships that
Our
will
ships have been improved.
that will be able to heal when I go on a little expedition out here. All right, Hyperdrive 3, a new generation of hyperdrives capable of accessing the subspace slipstreams that are present within hyperspace. This leads to dramatically improved drive performance. The research AI is mighty tempting, but shield capacitor is a fairly short research time. So
Our
we're 4
ships
away
have
from
been
being able to upgrade
improved.
that, I think. Yeah. The Armada of the Voidborn detected. On a course towards the Scythe system. Okay, so let's just... So why are they telling me that? I'm assuming it's something about my sensors, but... The thing that we're worried about, of course, is if they're on their way to Wesen. Which they might be. I think
Our ships
the
have
real
been
worry
improved.
is that by the time we know for sure
The
where they're
spirits
heading,
have granted us new wisdom.
we probably have to make a decision in terms of what we're doing with our ships. Right, gradual adaptation to the realities of deep space combat allows us to effectively coordinate larger maneuvers. So this is going to give me access to more battleships when I can afford them. And we are getting ready for war, I think. The question really is whether it's going to be war with one of the established powers or with one of the new powers that come out of the Endurga Horde. So let's go Galactic Campaigns as a prep. Again, my preference would be peaceful expansion, but I think our hand's going to be forced sooner rather than later. Okay, it may not be a bad idea for me to start moving things into Wesen.
The spirits have granted us new wisdom.
Although we're upgrading, so... Next generation of strike craft featuring improved avionics, better handling characteristics, and more powerful armaments. Let's say... Speed wouldn't be bad, but so... hull points are also really good, so let's do... better destroyer hulls for now.
Our ships have been improved.
Okay, so a 2K fleet Mesa can handle on its own. 4K fleet may be something a little more frightening. It's really hard to see where else they would be going, though. This guy's passing by, so that's a load off my mind. Ah, nuts. They're eating up the destroyers intended for someone else. Let's just get you to upgrade again.
Anomaly found.
Somewhere beneath Hazrat 2's unctuous clouds, unnatural structures silhouette themselves against toxic surface. Alright, this is almost like there's no possible way that they're going anywhere other than Wesen. So we are canceling that upgrade. Hopefully right-clicking will be sufficient. We're probably going to be late. But... yeah. I don't even think there's a point in trying to build the defenses. You knew that was coming. I think my hesitation's probably going to cost me... is probably going to cost me here.
One of our stations is beset by enemies.
Well, they're focusing on the mine, so that's given us a little bit of time. Finders Keepers, a particularly observant operative in the Zaxoid Stellar Confederation, has laid their paws on part of a Zaxo encryption key. It would seem a careless Zaxoid administrator mislaid the device whilst commuting. This bodes well enough for our operations in the Zaxoid Stellar Confederation, but our study of the device's unique design has revealed novel insights for our general approach to code breaking. Excellent. Looks like there is a vote going on. This is to enable council veto power, which I am 100% in favor of. Okay, so they're focusing on the base now. Again, I want to get a bit of an idea. It does seem that shields are their lesser feature, and this
Construction complete.
we may actually get through this without needing the extra fleet, but obviously I would prefer to have the insurance policy because they're starting to take hull damage now. This is a great Khan Fossilin of the Endurga Horde. My defeat at the hands of the Rithelian Guardians was a minor setback, nothing more. The Rithelian are brave warriors and worthy opponents, but they too will fall before us. The tide of history is sweeping across the galaxy, and nothing can stop it. My new armada has been assembled. Swear field to me now, while you still have the time. A second onslaught approaches. All right. Good work. So obviously here we want to pick up the tech as soon as we can. Council election is imminent, and you'll notice like our position, we've really jumped ahead of the Zaxoid Stellar Confederation. Unfortunately, it's hard to say that that's due to any effort on our part, and probably more to do with the fact that our sometime allies have been decimated. Okay, let's take a look at where we're at science ship-wise. Okay, that's an automatic survey, so I think they are better served researching the debris. If those ships are that strong, it seems to me I want to find out what makes them tick. And I can't remember. I think it was 20 corvettes. Yeah. Actually, while I'm working this out, so let's just do a quick model version of this. So, well, I guess 12 would technically be, like, this would be the proper pyramid that I would normally do. Okay, I can work with that. So we've got 3 currently. Is there really nothing in the queue? Oh, that's an oversight.
System survey complete.
And I guess the nice thing here is that if anything, the borders to the, if anything, the borders for the Zaxoid territories are sort of receding. So I don't have any particular need to claim Wezen early. I think I'm going to be able to do that on my own time. Although it would be nice to have a construction ship sort of ready to go, because obviously I'm going to need the alloys and the influence to be able to accomplish that. Can do the terraform when we can afford it. This barren and lifeless world is showing signs of once having supported a biosphere. So the thing that's really going to help us, now this is going to cause an expansion in terms of our sprawl,
Construction complete.
but overall this will be good. We've got a lot of terraforming in the queue. So there's going to be this huge moment where we're going to be able to colonize a whole bunch of worlds. And in this case, I am going to go out and buy the alloys I need. This thing basically needs to be upgraded as soon as possible. All right, we'll give it time. Galactic Community has chosen a new council: Vitresis Hive, Black Codex, Zaxoid Stellar Confederation. Again, I would maybe consider voting to reduce the size of the council. Repeal the Pangalactic recycling initiatives. Now, I can't remember if this was still into my advantage or not. I'll skip the terraforming candidate reading because we've kind of done that a couple of times. Okay, so what's the deal here? Pangalactic recycling.
The spirits have granted us new wisdom.
Does it not tell us the... Surely I've seen the proposal before. It's a consideration for another time. Shield capacitor. These capacitors store surplus energy, which can be quickly transferred to reinforce a ship's shields. Again, we're just looking at cheap tech that we can build. It seems to me the advanced shields are the most general of the techs that I can adopt. And we've got the shroud, so hello, the shroud is quiet today. Reach into the shroud. In the deeper regions of the shroud, a presence suddenly makes itself felt. Visitors like us, a powerful psionic probe made by minds as utterly alien to us as they are to the shroud. A faint image of massive organic beings floating in some kind of thick gaseous atmosphere while being attended by swarms of smaller creatures flickers briefly into existence as their psychic echo touches our own. So, increased sensor range, but the catch is that it's a low probability event, and so if I get an idea, like, generally I think if it's a low... It seems to be that if we fail these rolls, we get cursed, is sort of what I'm... At least I think that's kind of how this is going. So let's exit the shroud, just because I don't think sensor range is quite enough to justify a risk. Grinding lattice. Hazra 2 is crisscrossed by overlapping mineral composite bands that are elevated above the harsh surface by tall, flexible pylons. Constantly agitated by atmospheric winds, these pylons sway, and the overlapping bands rub together to produce sonic waves that are, to Imetherians, inaudible frequencies. Science Officer Sari Dehen reports some difficulty in isolating this audio from the natural background noise of the planet, but notes that the mineral bands could, should we so choose, be broken down and efficiently recycled by the Black Codex. Okay. It'd be nice if I could see where the Khan is. That's the problem of letting them sprawl out so much, is that it's kind of hard to get a read on where my primary target would be.
Construction complete.
Okay, I said I was going to wait for the platform, but not forever, so hopefully... No, we're still lacking. Did it really take me that long to... There must be something else that's taking up the alloys. I mean, in fairness, we did just dump a whole lot into generating a new battleship, but having multiple battleships to be able to take on, you know, a galaxy-shaping warlord is not a terrible idea. Okay. Maybe galaxy reshaping warlord would be the appropriate term. The other thing I might want to consider is that with these extra star fleets, like I've got these cruisers and whatnot, which presumably can do things other than just float around as patrol ships.
Construction complete.
Although obviously the consequence for that is more piracy. Although as the Empire gets wealthier, I think piracy is just going to be more of a problem in general.
Our ships
I
have
have
been improved.
gotten some additional... let's hold off on that for now while we fill up our roster.
System survey
I can
complete.
start putting down a few more bases to try and protect my trade.
Construction complete.
Oh, this is welcome. I'd love to grab that extra star base, but I don't think I can afford to have two ships running off and doing that at the same time. But it does look like we have gained access to all of our... I think as far as all of our special resources are concerned, or strategic resources are concerned, we've got everything that's within our borders and a pretty good game plan for claiming the rest. All right, no surprises there. I guess the question would be, do I want to turn this into alloys or do I want to turn this into something else? Let's turn it into terraforming. Planets will ultimately be the thing... Planets will ultimately be the thing that generates all these resources that I want, so being able to convert energy into productive worlds is probably the ideal. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 worlds that are going to be coming online before too long. I'm trying to remember when the next contract's going to come up with
Debris
these.
analyzed.
Oh, this might be good news. 10% to Ripper Cannon, 240 Physics, 20 Society, 140. It's, I mean, not bad. I wouldn't... Like, I'm not declaring myself emperor off of that, but it's not the worst outcome. But that's another Gaia world. I really hope I wasn't sitting on this information for a long time. This I definitely am going to want to expand. At the very least to Mathula. In more practical terms to Jangal, because that gives me all of this. So that's going to be 3 additional expansions. And then of course we need to find a new purpose for the Yinan system, but that's after the big scary time where the Khan is eating our lunch. And more importantly, we can colonize Sawa. Look at your credit silos in with Imutherian, full to bursting. Please let us lighten them. Let us assist. What can you offer us? We have good workers for you. Good lifters, draggers, pullers. Cleanest, healthy, clever. Give us 500 alloys and we shall send 4 racket pops to one of your planets. What, criminal records? Afraid we've lost the papers. All right, I always want more pops. So clearly, certainly we accept your deal. Pleasure. A joy to deal with the Black Codex. We will visit again. Normally I'm reluctant to give up alloys, but in this particular case, obviously being able to have a sudden influx of pops to work really helps me out. Unfortunately, it's on a planet that's maybe not so helpful, so let's get some... We'll distribute things out. Let's try... So I want to take a look at my industrial worlds first. So Lemsa Okay, Lemsa already has Racket. Basically, I just want to try and distribute slave species on worlds where they might be the most useful. Actually, with that in mind, where's my Agra world? Gribben. Okay, Gribben's already got slaves. Taya? Wow, they get around. I think we already tried Lemsa, right? Yeah. Okay, so they sort of seem to be everywhere. So I suppose the next step would be to see the worlds with the largest numbers of jobs available. And hopefully I didn't just make a big problem there.
The spirits have granted us new wisdom.
The latest generation of destroyer hulls have optimized structural integrity fields and improved bulkheads. So again, impulse thruster is very tempting, but I do want to make sure that I'm catching up on my tech. If we just take a quick second here to take a look at the victory screen. So how are we doing like overall in terms of scores? We're actually really starting to close the distance with the Vitresis Hive. So, I mean, Zaxoids are kind of nipping at our heels, but remember how we used to look at this list and we would see just this mile-long gap between me and the Vitresis Hive. And that's not really true anymore. The Vitresis Hive can almost certainly clobber us still. If I were to go to war with them, I would almost certainly have to try and rely on sort of human understanding as opposed to any inherent merits of my military. But it's less than 1,000 points separating us now. So, I mean, you could say the same for the, between the Zaxoid and us, but the Zaxoid, I think, are on a downward trend. Whereas it used to be the case where we weren't even necessarily next to the Vitresis Hive. Clearly, we have a very long way to go before we can deal with the Fallen Empires. One thing that's kind of nice here is that they don't like me. And not just because I was listening in on their conversations, but because they're fanatic materialists. So, as it happens, this might be something I want to go into some kind of a conflict with when I can, anyway. But clearly that's a very long-term plan. What I'm probably going to be focusing on, again, colonizing these worlds that I can, but I may also want to just nab my, nab the system up to Jangle. I'll probably have to fight for it, depending on how the Horde works. But given the fact that there's another Gaia world that I can potentially gain access to, and more importantly, if I take the Jangle system, that gives me access to the Gaia world, the Continental world, size 10 Continental world, and a size 13 Tropical world. And again, there's one intersection to that, so it's just a whole bunch of territory I can claim for myself. And then when the Horde eventually comes to rest, something on my borders, something maybe I'll vassalize, something I might go to war with, something I might ignore. But we're starting to paint the map gray. We'll spend a little more time in the game. I do need to wrap up just because I do need to get some recording done. Oh, Carabineers. Old with defects. Our starbase in the Clue system reports that the Racket Industrial Fleet has evacuated and abandoned a decrepit ship, now in unstable orbit around the system's central star. One man's trash.
Situation log updated.
All right. And then there's the question, can I get a construction ship there in time? Let's get... How do I get you to cancel this job? Don't disband, just stop. There we go. So as much as I would like the energy, let's get them to work on the project. And then once they're done the research station, they can build the mining station here and then move on their way to the Taiga system. It's tough, right? Because it's 1, 2, 3... actually, it's 4 to get to Taiga, so maybe... Ugh. Well, the thing is, I don't know if I can hold Jangle, so... I'll probably still go for... Probably go for what I've already got here. What else do I want to accomplish? Our Empire Sprawl has exploded again. I wish it were otherwise, but... Oh, this was unexpected. Okay, let's see if there's anything we can do food-wise. Not really. Actually, here's one thing I should do. Education and recycling, because it's just an easy dump for my energy. So if I sell the food, I can get 69 a unit. So let's see if my Gearoid friends are willing to pay more. Okay, they're not willing to spend for anything. I'm gonna guess that that's probably true for everyone, but let's make sure. Obviously, the idea here is just to make sure that I'm not leaving money on the table. Interesting. It's like, don't want to do 110. Okay, so 84 is what they're willing to spend. Mistrustful. Alright. We know a good deal when we see one. The Talakar Citizen Compact accepts your turn. So this, like, think of what we just did here, right? We got over 2 per unit of food, where the Galactic Market would have been paying us less than 1. So, pretty hard to believe... Well, let's try the Zaxoid. We do at least have ideological similarities. Okay. I'm intrigued. Okay, so that's their limit. I could do at best 77. So really we're just kind of negotiating terms. So if I'd be willing to do 20 food a turn, like generating 20 food a turn for myself. Again, I'm looking at about over 2 energy credits per unit of food. That's fantastic. And then maybe what I'll do here is I'm going to try with the Vitresis Hive. Just a lump sum. Yeah, they're not going to pay for any of that. So we'll sell 5,000 on the open market, because obviously we're going to be earning that at a lower rate. But I call that a good day's work. So our total, the trade that we just did, assuming that we're able to maintain those terms throughout the 30-year contract. Let me just double check what we just did here. So that was 84 credits for 33, and then 124 for 57. Okay. So that's 2.31 per unit, where selling it on the galactic market was 0.62, and buying it, and again, I don't know, I'm not 100% sure in terms of the galactic market whether or not this is a price that every empire pays, but I sold it to them at a rate double what buying on the galactic market would be, at least for me. And the Zaxoid is currently the owner, or the market leader, and so, you know, they presumably would have been facing a lower cost on the basis of those fees.
The spirits have granted us new wisdom.
All right, further improvements to administration grant extended power projection across the stars and the military clout needed to enforce our demands. Cyto-revitalization centers is tempting, save for the fact that exotic gases are always in short supply, and they are, like, they go into research. Okay, so actually this is where maybe I just don't have a very sophisticated view of Stellaris. In most 4X games, if you don't invest in tech, you are going to lose. Like, tech just seems to be one of these things that you always want to push hard. And in fact, when you take a look at interesting design choices in 4X games, what generally tends to happen is you will see how designers work around this tendency for people to throw everything inside of tech. Now, let's just be clear. Clearly, I'm speaking in very general terms here. One thing that really made me a better Civilization player was an appreciation that, while yes, it is true you want to pursue technology and you want to gain a technological advantage over your opponents, if you do not have the productive capability to actually make all of those units that you that you want to, that you've researched, then it's as good as not having had the tech in the first place. So there's some give and take in terms of how this stuff works. But as a whole, it definitely tends to be tech will help you. If you can establish a technological advantage over your enemies, you can sort of afford to be lax in some of your other areas, and you play accordingly. And so you'll have, the amplitude games, they kind of make these little, they make these sort of matrices that you'll work in, and, you can research a certain number of techs in one area before you can unlock the next one, so you don't have to unlock the whole tech tree. That's one way people try and get around that. Sometimes they try and make it so that there will be unique techs for each different faction. One thing that's been kind of interesting, and Age of Wonders Planetfall did this, but then if you think about it, so did Civilization. This division between military and social research, that it's no longer like one or the other, but you'll have two research tracks. The only difference is that Civilization 6 made that a civics branch, which is kind of technology but kind of not. Lots of different ways of handling it. In this one, it's kind of neat to do the card-driven system, so you can shuffle stuff back in the deck, and so sometimes I wind up picking these things here. But the fact of the matter is that being able to get access to buildings that will produce more, that will give you more with the same number of workers, that will allow you to have more workers on a single planet producing that resource, things that will make your ships stronger, things that will make them survive longer, all of these different things, all of this comes through tech. And so with that in mind, what I tend to find is that if I've built labs, I tend to want to build the best labs that I can, the ones that will have the largest number of researchers, and the ones that will be producing the largest amounts of research. And so with that in mind, when I take a look at something like the Cyto-Revitalization Center, even though it will give me a nice big boost to population growth, and maybe I'm not even going to keep it for the whole duration, I just take a look at my strategic resources and say, well, six exotic gases, not terrible, but like, I know I'm going to be using this for a research center, and do I really think I'm going to have those exotic gases back in time for me to be able to, to upgrade that research center? And then, of course, the fact that all those specialist jobs that you've created for the Cyto-Revitalization Center, all of a sudden they're going to be unemployed when you dismantle the thing. So this is one of the challenges that I run into with strategic resources in Stellaris, is that whenever I see something that would be upgraded using exotic gases, I almost pretty much say that I'm not going to use that, because in the end, I just want to upgrade my research labs as quickly as I can. Although I have enough planets now that maybe I'll just sort of spread out and build more basic research. I don't know. Anyways, tracking implants. Huh. That also seems like a new one. Although the funny thing is, just given the fact that I'm not overwhelmed by any of these choices, I'm going to do Cyto-Revitalization anyway, just because it lets me draw from the deck again. Okay, I think I'm going to call it here. We've got the special project, which we've already got a ship on the way to, I hope. We do. So where are we at? We're definitely, I mean, so what has the overall plan been? Try and take advantage of peace to build as strong of a base as we have. We regressed a little bit as far as the Empire Sprawl is concerned, but as far as our overall technological level, as far as our ability to produce things, we have surpluses. We're generating more energy than I really know what to do with, which is good. I just also signed a really sweet deal with potential rivals. This, of course, gives me another reason not to go to war with the Zaxoids and the Talakur, because they are currently giving me a lot of money for a resource that I don't have a lot of use for. And in general, it sort of paid off. The worst that we had to deal with was the Great Khan showing up to try and take Maisa, and we were at least able to bloody their fleet so that they had to turn around. I really wanted to be the one to sort of hit him and take him down a notch, but I'll deal with the. I'm content just being that we were able to hold our own territory. We also made some progress in terms of our fleets. So not only is this fleet in a better position, I am so mad that they keep doing this. Oh God, where's the 14 coming from? Yeah, I'll live with it. I mean, I guess I could sort of switch these things out, but... But yeah, we've made some progress in terms of our overall fleet as well, so we're getting closer to that fleet cap. So the way that my fleets are set up right now, if I were to have the full 110 in both, I would actually exceed my fleet cap. That would mostly have a cost as far as energy credits are concerned, which I'm not that worried about. The energy credit cost, we're generating 673 a turn now, so that's not a huge worry. The bigger worry, of course, is that even with my newfound strength, the fact of the matter is that I really am not in a position to actually, just to make life a little easier for me, I'm going to hit this upgrade button. So that's going to stop the battleship from going into the Vernala Starfleet. It's going to go into the Shimini. One of the challenges that I'm going to run into is that even with my newfound strength, the Great Khan is very strong. And so I'm still going to need to make sure that I have 2 fleets in the same area to be able to take them out. And then because I've got eyes on the Vitresis Hive again, let's just see what their fleets look like, right? 15, 13, okay, those are fine. That one's a 33, so this is one I need to worry about. And again, I would need to combine 2 fleets to deal with them. They've got another 25 sitting there, so eventually I'm going to be able to see their ship details, and at that point I can start building ships that will, that can... I'll be able to start building some ships that can contend with them and sort of be the Hive killers. But that's a long-term consideration. Like, the really important thing to remember is right now, if I want to bloody the Vitresis Hive, it's just to make them a smaller empire. The only thing I can really take off them right now would be a gateway and a wormhole, which, fair enough. I mean, if nothing else, it kind of secures my border a little bit. But on the other hand, like, is that it? Like, is that really what I want to go to war over? And so again, my opportunity is just to simply carve off more parts of the western part of the galaxy, and if I can, ideally to take Jungle for myself. The nice thing about this is that past Jungle, everything else sort of seems to have a bypass. Actually, I guess Trinnic is the last real choke point. If I go into Japras, then people can circumvent that, but Trinnic seems to be... Everything sort of funnels through Trinnic to Jangle, so either a choke point here or a choke point here would help me. But that's going to require some influence. I'm going to need to dance around that a little bit. But all considerations for next week. I'm sorry there wasn't a bigger battle with the Great Khan. I was really looking forward to like going toe to toe with them, but they ran away. I'll accept that. Can you imagine? Can you imagine any other Khan? Could you imagine Attila the Hun running away? Could you imagine Genghis Khan running away? I don't think so. Let's find out who's streaming tonight. Thank you all for watching. Just a recap of what we're going to be doing for the oncoming week. Tomorrow there will be an Elder Scrolls episode that should already be up and running. If I am actually having a little trouble getting the next one done, so next week's... Oh, wow. I think everybody's already gone. Fair enough. Yeah, but Tuesday's next stream, I think I'm going to do my best to have that ready to go, but it might be a little dodgy as far as getting the video up. I'll do my best on that. Wednesday there is a new patch for Phantom Brigade. The beam laser has been entered into the game, so that I believe that is the last weapon from the trailer that wasn't in there. So I'm really looking forward to returning to that. Friday may or may not be Hollow Knight. I'm debating on that. I think that will depend as to whether or not I've done some video of the Pantheon fight. I'm not going to leave it, but I might want to just spend some of that time on my own because I clearly have a lot of material to go through on Hollow Knight, and I'm not sure flogging the Pantheon fights night after night is really the best thing I can be doing in light of some of the things I've been sitting on. But and then next week, I believe that is Industries of Titan becoming a Steam Early Access game. So I'm sure there'll be a number of you really looking forward to that. I'll almost certainly do a video for that in mind. But anyways, it looks like we got a few people online. I think I am going to host Rainbow Lightbright. Who's doing World of Horror. I really liked that one. I noticed that there's not as many people around at this time, so I'm just gonna do a host rather than a raid. But Rainbow Lightbright, actually, it's taken me a while to host them. But World of Horror is a really interesting one. That was one that I got a key for, and I'll be returning to as well. If you haven't seen it, it's a neat little indie horror game, kind of a 8-bit sort of a style. If you've seen, or is it 8-bit? Monochrome. If you played Return of the Obra Dinn, it looks like that. But I'm going to stop rambling. Enjoy Rainbow Lightbright. I will see some of you tomorrow for Elder Scrolls. I'll see some of you on Wednesday for the live stream with Phantom Brigade. And for those of you hanging out for Stellaris, I will see you in a week. Thanks for watching.